What is going on, people? We are Tottenham TV. Welcome back to yet another live stream. We got quite a
W stream, apparently.
W stream today.
W stream. Big up Hat Don.
Hat Don. Big up to you, Hat Don. We've got already just about 100 people in here with us. We've got action-packed stream for you today. We're going to go for a Tottenham update. We've got some unpopular opinions, and we're going to be reacting to some comments as well. But I know you love a bit of unpopular opinions, Sim.
Come on, of course. My favourite segment. I want to know all your wacky opinions.
We haven't done it for a while, have we?
Because people say I've got some crazy opinions, but I want to know what your opinions are. Come on.
Yeah, so if you want us to react to your unpopular opinion, get it in a super chat, because we do kind of
we can bring it
the
on
chat and we can bring it up on the overlay over here. So if you want us to react to yours, get yours in the comment section.
You could also comment on Twitter as well. There you can do it there. But if you want it on Twitter, it will be shown on the Twitter overlay. If you want it to flash up on the overlay here, you can send us a super chat and we'll flash up here on stream.
I think without further ado, let's just get straight into this Tottenham update. And Paul O'Keefe gave us an update regarding the 3 injured players in Sonny, Richarlison and Wilson Odobert. And he said, some positive injury news for a change. Tottenham are hopeful that Richarlison and Son will take full part in training with the squad next week and be in contention for West Ham. And there's a hope that Wilson Odobert could join in training as well.
It's really encouraging.
And if Odobert, I mean, it'll be quite early, won't it? Because they said he was going to be out until the next international break.
Oh, I don't know when we did the last update, but Paul O'Keefe said it was going to be 6 weeks from that point, when he said that. I think that was
about a week ago, yeah.
But to be fair, since the Coventry game, how long has it been? About a month?
Yeah.
Well, when the time comes around, when they after this international break, how long would it have been since that Coventry game? Let's see. So that
Coventry was right at the beginning of the month.
Yeah. So it was Coventry. Beginning of September.
Yeah.
So beginning of last month.
Yeah. Sorry. Yeah.
So it would have been 2 months then. So yeah, 18th of September.
Oh.
So by the time...
So it's about just under a month ago, 3 weeks ago.
So it sounds like it could be a speedy recovery. But then again, he's not saying he's fit for the game. He's saying he's hopefully returned to training. So maybe if he returns for like the RZ game or the game after RZ, which is Palace away, 27th, let's say, that would have been about 6 weeks, right? Or 5 weeks. So... But it's really,
he was saying 6 weeks from the moment that he sent out the tweet, which was last week. So we all assume that he won't be back until after the next international break in November.
So maybe you just
it's positive.
Yeah, but still really, really great. Obviously, we saw what he brought to the attack when he was fit. That ability, that dribbling ability. That as much as we've done all right since he's been injured, Brennan's really stepped up. Solanke's settling into the team really well. We're still going to need him. But I think the most encouraging thing is, first of all, Richarlison being fit is a massive boost, in my opinion. Having a good alternative, Solanke, give Solanke rest in those Europa League games, and also gives us more of an ability to maybe go 2 up top as well in certain games if we're chasing a goal. And as well, Richarlison, we know if Richarlison, when he's fit, is a capable striker. And I think just having him and Solanke pushing each other is going to be a really good situation, in my opinion. So I'm really excited about that prospect. So hopefully we can keep fit, stay fit, because that's been a big problem of his. But the fact that Son is available after international break and return to full training is very, very encouraging, because having pulled out the Korea squad, as much as Ange was saying, he's battling to be fit for that Brighton game or whatever, the fact that he pulled out the Korea squad definitely had a few alarm bells ringing, because as we've said, I think he hasn't missed a Korea game in over 2 years, or like 2 years or so. And
2022, yeah.
So we know that it's very rare for him to do that, and he doesn't do it unless the injury is serious, usually, or there's no chance of him playing. So I was worried that this injury might be a bit worse than we're letting on at the moment, and he was going to be out for a longer period. But the fact that he's back for this game, that also means that he's had a really nice rest for these 2 weeks, which has been really important for him over this international break. And hopefully that's a view of him looking a lot fresher and after international break, because if he would have played for Korea and stuff like that and been in the squad, that would have been a really bad situation. So I think that's really, really great news about Sonny. And we know a good Sonny, a sharp Sonny, is our best attacker. So let's hope that we see that after the international break.
Yeah, and I think these couple of weeks would have done him the world of good. He was looking fatigued in a couple of games. Obviously got that injury off the back of him talking about how many games he's been playing, and he's been playing too much and all those kind of situations. So when you're looking at these three players, Odobert probably a bit further on down the line than Richarlison and Sonny, but all of a sudden gives us a few options in the forward line, because you look at that second half against Brighton, we just had no attacking options to bring on, did we? Obviously, you had Mikey Moore there, but can you really rely on a 17-year-old Mikey Moore to come on and change the game? And I would have started with him and seen what an impact he could have made, but once you see all the kind of rut setting in, I thought it was a bit unfair to bring on Mikey Moore in that situation. So having Son, Richarlison and Odobert available for us will give us, great options off the bench.
100%, and all of a sudden you got to remember the 5-game winning streak was pretty much without those five players, and the attack was starting to click, with Kulusevski and Maddison, but obviously the front three, maybe not Werner as much, but Solanke and Johnson are definitely starting to hit form. So now we're adding those options back into the team. It's really encouraging. All of a sudden you look at the attacking options, it looks exciting, and it looks like there's a lot of options there once they're back in the team now, which is great. So very excited to get them back, and we're going to need them over this period because we've got a lot of games coming up, 2 games a week. We're going to need that squad, and I think we have been overplaying probably the likes of Johnson and Solanke and in these last few weeks. So having these players back and giving the ability to rotate is very important.
Yeah, to be fair with Brennan, he has had a bit of rest, didn't he? Because he didn't start the game against Ferencváros. He came off at half-time in the Carabao game as well. So I think we've been managing Brendan's minutes quite well.
That's fair.
Let's move on and let's talk about Pedro Porro again, because yesterday we brought you on the Tottenham update his comments regarding Real Madrid, and social media was making a bit too much out of it potentially. And Mario Cortegana is I think he's an athletic correspondent for Real Madrid. And he says Real Madrid have complied positive reports on Pedro Porro for years now. The most significant obstacles to any potential move are that he has a deal until 2028, and that Tottenham chairman Daniel Levy is known to be a tough negotiator. However, the same journalist also says that Trent Alexander-Arnold's name is the first on the list of possible reinforcements for Real Madrid. His ability, age, versatility, experience with both Liverpool and England, and his contractual situation make him an attractive proposition for Real Madrid. So it's kind of what we were saying yesterday. Like, Trent will probably always be number one on the list when you're looking at what a quality player is, and also there doesn't seem to be any light at the end of the tunnel for his contract situation at Liverpool.
Yeah, and I think if the situations were reversed and Porro had that contract situation and Trent had the deal until 2028, maybe in that situation Porro might be your first choice, but especially with Trent probably being the superior player, his contract running down, so you don't have to negotiate a transfer fee to Liverpool, it's probably a better deal to do, albeit maybe Trent would probably ask for a lot bigger wages than maybe Porro would. But Madrid have dealt with Levy on many occasions, and usually they get their man a lot of the time, but they come out with a few bruises, and it's a long process, and they don't like dealing with him, I think. So if they can avoid it, they probably will. As much as, as you say, they've been compiling reports, and the progress that Porro's made since he's come to Tottenham has been great, and he's become one of the best right-backs in the league, and there's no surprise that when that happens, there's going to be clubs of Madrid side sniffing around him, especially when we're in a position where, at the moment anyway, we're not really challenging for big trophies. When you've got players of that quality, and you've got clubs like Madrid and these clubs every year challenging for titles, they're going to look around to see who could upgrade in for their team at teams who aren't challenging for titles. And unfortunately, Tottenham at the moment fit into that bracket. So there will be clubs of that size looking at our players, but we'll see whether the Trent one pulls off. And I think that will have a large reasoning as to if they go for Porro or not, whether the Trent deal goes off.
I just feel like, I said it yesterday, but I just feel like the Trent one just makes total sense. He's got his best mate over there in Jude Bellingham. Everyone thought Trent was going to be the one to bring Jude Bellingham over to Liverpool, but actually it's going to work the other way, with Bellingham potentially going to bring Trent over to Real Madrid. And, Trent, like you said yesterday, I think you said like a generational talent, or unbelievable skill set that he does have. Potentially could be a bit better defensively, but I think the attributes that he does have to put into that Real Madrid side, it's just a mouth-watering proposal, isn't it, to think about Trent playing for that Real Madrid side.
100%, and considering all the talent they've already got, they've got such a young team, unbelievable forward talent, then you're adding Trent to the mix. It's a very, very scary prospect. So they're really building a super team there, like proper Galacticos again, which I thought for a few years maybe they went away from that, but it looks like, they got Mbappe back, and Mbappe there now, Bellingham, now if they bring in Trent, proper Galacticos team they're building.
Does it say a lot about where the kind of quality is in this England? I know England obviously embarrassed themselves last night with 2-1 loss against Greece, but it says a lot, doesn't it, when you've got well, if Trent were to go there, you would have 2 starters for the England team in Real Madrid.
England have an unbelievable team. Look how many got Man City players there as well. They've got unbelievable talent. I mean, anyone can see it. The talent they have, the pool of especially attacking players they have is absolutely incredible. And obviously having 2 starters in the Madrid team, that exemplifies it. But obviously we've got a lot of Man City players who, look how dominant Man City have been. They're an unbelievable team as well. So I think, England have an unbelievable pool of players to choose from, and then they have to be winning something with this crop of players, surely. Wow. But they're too Spursy.
What is it? Like, how could they lose to Greece last night? I didn't see the game, but it just looks shocking.
Yeah, it wasn't great. A part of me also feels like no one really cares about the Nations League. I think that's part of it. It's basically a de facto friendly as much as in theory it's a competitive game. I remember, under Southgate, we lost 4-0 at home to Hungary in the Nations League, and no one, it was a disaster at the time, but let's be honest, no one cares about the Nations League. But Greece, I think as well, were on something extra yesterday because they were brilliant, and maybe they were, really fighting for to win that game for George Bulldog after what happened with him, and you could see maybe that extra motivation in them.
Yeah, rest in peace, George Bulldog. Let's talk about Antoine Semenyo now. Court Offside says that Ange Postecoglou is a big fan of Semenyo, and Tottenham could challenge for his signature in 2025. Team Talk also say that Liverpool and Newcastle have reportedly both joined Tottenham in pursuing Bournemouth forward Antoine Semenyo, with the Cherries fearful of losing their star. We're not going to make it 2 in 2 years, are we? Take Solanke 1 year and then Semenyo the next.
Wouldn't rule out. I really like Semenyo. I wouldn't say I think he's one of the best in the league, but what I really like about him is, first of all, he definitely has a bit of quality in that final third. He's got really good dribbling ability, takes people on, he's very direct. He's a bit two-footed as well. But I think what would probably go a long way to Ange really liking the signing is, if you look at this season, I think there was a stat I saw a few days ago. He is joint top of the league
with Decky,
for pressures one, for possession one in the final third, and that's obviously something we really look at, and we know that's a big reason why we were so interested in Solanke, because of that fit and that work ethic that he has. And clearly Semenyo, you don't get that stat unless you're a very hard-working player, and that's someone who's willing to put in the hard yards and close people down. But what I like about that stat is a lot of players have good running stats. When you look at their tackling stats and stuff, they make a lot of ground, but they don't actually put the challenges in. But Semenyo clearly is very aggressive in that aspect, and you put him in that side. And also he's a left-footed right winger, so it gives a different dynamic to Brennan, who we know Brennan likes going on the outside, but we have Semenyo who can change things up. It would be a smart signing, but how much it would cost? You're probably looking at, at this rate, the way he's going, maybe 45 million, something like that. I can't see it being over 50, would it? You reckon? Maybe.
I can't see it being a similar price to Solanke.
I think you're looking at 45. I don't know what his contract is.
2029. He's got a long contract.
Okay, he's got a long contract.
I would say that, Semenyo probably between 45 and 55, maybe 50.
I guess something similar price we play for Brennan, maybe. Maybe
exactly.
A bit more, yeah.
Exactly. So he's a player which predominantly a right winger, plays for Ghana, but he's actually English, where he was born in London. And I would love to see him through the door. I think Brennan and Semenyo would be really good options for that right wing, them fighting for that spot. And then on the left wing, you'd have Odobert, Sonny, and Mikey Moore potential. Well, Mikey Moore can play both sides. So you've got Sonny and Odobert, you've got Semenyo and Brennan Johnson with Mikey Moore that can play, can cover both sides. So if that's the case, if let's say we go into next season with those winger options, is that good enough to maybe bridge the gap between the Arsenals and the Man Cities and stuff?
I mean, it's hard to say it is good enough because the quality Man City and Arsenal have. I mean, maybe those options. I know Saka's obviously unbelievable. Martinelli's been a bit off it. Trossard is a very good player. I mean, is it in? I mean, I don't know if I can sit here and say Semenyo's going to come and win us the league. It's hard for me to say that, but if I do look at those options, there's actually a lot of variation. There's good balance on either side. Is there enough goals in those? I mean, the way Brennan's going, and we know Semenyo this season, he's got 5 goals. He got 8 last season, so he's looking to improve on that already this season. We know Sonny's a goal scorer, so maybe it would be like. Is it? I guess the question is.
I think he's on 3 goals. Semenyo.
Is he on 3 goals? Maybe it's in all competitions. He's on 5.
But still 3 and 6.
Yeah, I mean it's pretty good. He's probably going to improve on that 8 from last season. I would think. So he's getting a bit more clinical as well. I think it gives good balance. I don't know if I don't know if I can sit here and say it's good enough to win the league. Is it good enough to? Can you challenge in the league with that set of wingers? Well, I think so.
Yeah, I'm undecided. I mean, I want to see a bigger sample size of Semenyo this season. Obviously, he's had a really good start, but it's just the beginning of the season, isn't it? So I want to see how he gets on from now to the end of the season.
Last season he was doing well as well, wasn't he?
Yeah, last season, he was doing well, but yeah, only 8 goals last season, which I guess is a fair amount in the Bournemouth side when you got Solanke banging in the goals as well.
And when you're looking at 8 goals, and if you're seeing improvement year on year, that's when you know there's a player really developing and growing into
I
the
like
league.
him. I really do like him. It's just that, can you get better out there for the price that we're potentially playing? You know, the Premier League tax. Like someone like Johan Bakayoko, would you prefer to sign him?
Probably. He's got a bit more quality in that final third. As much as I think Semenyo has quality, but I don't think it's as much as someone like Johan Bakayoko.
Johan Bakayoko this season. I guess he's only scored 2 goals this season. Bakayoko. Semenyo's actually more.
I think Bakayoko is more of a chance creator than Semenyo.
Yeah.
You know, he's got a bit more box of tricks. Semenyo's
he's got that X
tricky,
factor Bakayoko, doesn't he?
Yeah, but then again, does Bakayoko work as hard as Semenyo, who clearly does work? And because he's playing in that system with Bournemouth, we've seen with Solanke, he can fit right into our pressing structure quite seamlessly.
I think, well, the title there is Ange is a big fan of Semenyo, and I can see why. Because you can see how much of a hard worker he is. You can see the stat that you brought up before about how many times he wins the ball high up the pitch. So I really do think he'd be the perfect fit. And much better than Timo, that's for sure.
Profile-wise, I mean, it makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
It does make a lot of sense.
And 24 years of age, getting him at a really good age as well.
Yeah, exactly. So, I mean, I don't think this is probably one that happens in January. You'd probably have to wait till the summer, I'd assume, unless something drastic happens in January. But I still think it's definitely one to keep an eye on for this season. The problem is, if he really explodes and has like a 20-goal season, let's say, all of a sudden his price like doubles from like 45 to like you're getting close to like 70 million probably at that point.
A lot of people in the comments are bringing up Brian Mbeumo.
Yeah, I love Mbeumo as well.
Does Mbeumo fit for what we want on that wing? I mean, I'd love to see Mbeumo at Spurs, but does he fit that Ange system?
I think obviously playing for a team like Brentford, he's not adverse to hard work. Obviously they're not like a proper high pressing team, but they do set traps to the opposition. Brentford play a very clever tactical game, so he's very used to like taking that kind of information. I'm sure like he could adjust to Ange. I think he's got an unbelievable left foot. I for sure think he's got a better left foot than Semenyo, I would say. His left foot's brilliant. There's one thing I thought that was really missing from his game, and he's become quite deadly now on his left foot, which is really, really important. But when it comes to him, I think like Semenyo, I feel like Mbeumo is more of a ball in behind kind of player. He's not a kind of ball to feet player. I think Semenyo is more of a ball at his feet kind of player, taking people on and creating chances, and does chip in with a few goals. I think Mbeumo is more of like an inside forward, if you know what I mean. So more similar in a way to Brennan, except he's left-footed. Like tries to go for goal. He's not as much of a chance creator, I feel. So I don't know.
He's got injury problems as well.
And he's got injury problems. I feel like profile. I think Mbeumo's a better player, to be honest. But I think profile-wise, Semenyo might be the better fit.
I kind of agree there. Last but not least, we got some quotes from Harry Redknapp regarding Mikey Moore, and he says, "I like the other kid who came on. I think he looks a better wide left player than Timo Werner. That Mikey Moore. I know he's just a kid, but he has got something. He looks like a real player for the future and for now. I think he looks like the real deal." So if Harry Redknapp was still our manager, he'd be probably starting Mikey Moore over Timo. Yeah,
it'd be interesting to look. Mikey Moore's looked bright in when he's played. Obviously, brilliant against Ferencvaros. I thought he looked a bit bright in the limited minutes he got against Brighton as well. When he did come on, he had that one run where, I mean, it wasn't a penalty, but he caused a bit of chaos in the box, which none of our other players were doing. So we know that we want to see more of Mikey Moore. He's been so exciting when we've been on the pitch. Harry Redknapp's also known for bringing young players. We saw who he brought through at West Ham, the likes of Lampard and Ferdinand and Michael Carrick. Like, he's got an eye for a young player. So it's not to be sniffed at if Harry Redknapp is saying, this guy's got a lot of potential, because he knows a good young player when he sees one, for sure. But Ange at the moment's been persistent with Timo, but let's see. Obviously, Son's coming back now as well, so that could limit Mikey Moore even more. But let's keep using that pun. But I think let's see in Europa League how much we get to see him.
All right, there you have it. That is your Tottenham update for today. Let's move on and let's get into these unpopular opinions. Like I said, if you want yours to flash up on the screen, do send them in a super chat so it gets alerted to us, and we will add it onto the overlay. But let's start off here. We've had so many of you guys sent in.
They're all still coming through.
Some unpopular opinions. We'll start off with this one from Richard. Says, Lamela was one of the most gifted footballers of modern Spurs. When he was fully fit, which was about 7 games in 10 years.
Was he the most gifted? You know what? When we first signed him, I thought he was, to be honest. And
a
obviously,
YouTube compilation of him at
his
Roma.
YouTube compilation was incredible, and obviously his Rabonas at Tottenham were fantastic. But unfortunately, actually, at Spurs, he was actually more known for his grit, and his he was more known for his hard work than he was for quality or his left foot. When we signed him, he was known for that being a player that cuts inside and puts it far corner and has that great shot. But we actually didn't see it that much at Tottenham, unfortunately, those kind of abilities. So I think. I don't know if that's true. I think we've probably had more players, people like Dele Alli. I think I'll probably say he's got a bit more natural gifts than Lamela.
I agree with you. We have had more technically gifted players than Lamela, but I do think Lamela was underrated in that facet, and I feel like he had a very unique dribbling style, Lamela, didn't he? Which, showed, I think, his technical ability. But I feel like if he wasn't injured so much, we would have seen it a lot more than what we did. I do think he is a technically gifted player, but as the injuries started to creep into his game, the kind of grit and hard work, that's what showed more in his game. And it probably showed after he left Spurs as well, more into his game. But at Roma, and definitely in the early signs of his Spurs career, he was very technically gifted.
Yeah, he's obviously clearly a technically gifted player, but that's just not that wasn't what he was known for, really, at Tottenham. That's not what he shone for, unfortunately. We never really saw that Lamela.
I loved Lamela, man. I really did love him. It was just such a shame about those injuries. He always gave 100% for the shirt, didn't he?
Of course.
Always.
Yeah.
Next one from Rudy says, Vicario is faultless with his feet. Can't remember one hiccup with the ball at his feet. I mean, he has had a couple of hiccups with the ball at his feet. I don't know. He must have a short memory there. But I do think he's a bit underrated with his feet. And I feel like his passing out the back, a lot of people complain about it at times, but I don't think it's actually that bad.
I think he's good. I think he's above average. That's my take on Vicario passing out the back. I think when you're comparing him to some of the best in the league, their ability to play out the back, like Raya, Onana, Ederson, Alisson, I don't think he's as good as those guys, to be honest. I think he's a level below. But when you're comparing him to most goalkeepers in the league, he's probably a bit better than a lot of them, to be honest. And he's got good passing, especially clips like fullbacks and stuff like that is decent. Sometimes he can make poor decisions when he's making short passes, but by and large, he's pretty okay with it. And I also think he's getting a lot more. I think in his early Spurs career, we would play the ball back to him and he just looked a bit nervous. I think he's looking a lot more comfortable in those situations now, which is good. But I definitely wouldn't say faultless. I wouldn't say he's faultless.
Far from faultless.
I wouldn't say he's faultless.
Next up from Gallic saying, our attack is nowhere near good as the other big six. Yes, Brennan Johnson is performing now, but once he drops a stinker, he's going to fall off. Odobert was a waste of money, and we should have signed Bakayoko from PSV instead.
I mean, I don't know if Odobert's I'd be a bit harsh to say he's a waste of money so far. I mean, he's looked bright, yes.
He's played 2 games.
He's played 2 games. I don't think he's been out of this world, but I think he's been pretty good. For a 19-year-old coming into Spurs, he's looked confident. He's looked to take people on. You can see what he's about. Yeah, he obviously had that miss against Newcastle, and he can be a bit frustrating in some aspects, but he's still very new to the team, and obviously he needs to. We've seen it can take time for players to really show their best getting into this team. So
he's 19.
He's 19 as well, so he's only still developing as a player. So I wouldn't say waste of money. Obviously, I agree we should have signed Bakayoko. I mean, that would have been a brilliant signing. We all wanted some of that quality.
But it wasn't Bakayoko instead of Odobert. It was Bakayoko instead of Timo. That's what we should have done.
Yeah, 100%. Exactly.
We should have brought in Bakayoko and Odobert.
Yeah, Timo's the one that we should have not brought in, exactly. Our attack is nowhere near as other big six. I mean, a lot of it goes down to timing, but like, obviously, I think Solanke, for me, I'm a big fan of his, and I think he's one. He's hopefully, I mean, what I've seen from him at Tottenham, and obviously what he did at Bournemouth last year, he's up there with some of the best number 9s in the league, because obviously you got Haaland, you got Watkins, you got Isaac. But other than that, I mean, Havertz is in good form as well. But
Solanke has arguably been better than Isaac this season.
Yeah, exactly. So, are there many strikers that are much better than him? Like it's all round game as well. Like, I think he's probably top 5. You could probably say in the league. Obviously, Brennan's in great form, but whether he can keep up, we'll have to wait and see. But obviously, he gets to go. We know he can get goals. I mean, Sonny is Sonny. He's still a fantastic winger, and he still can get loads of goals with assists. So, when you look at that front three, I mean, we're comparing it. Yeah, maybe there are better players in the league. You know, Chelsea have Palmer, and there's Saka, and there's Haaland, and there's definitely better players, but there's no need to look at our players with any disdain and think they're rubbish, because I think we've got some good forward players.
It's not about looking at our players and disdain and saying they're rubbish, but he's comparing them to the big six, the other big six clubs in the league, and I think he's got a good point. When you're looking at the players in the front line and depth that Man City have, obviously, it's much better than ours. Arsenal, again, much better than ours. Chelsea, I think, much better than ours. Liverpool, you've got to probably say better than ours as well. I mean, which clubs in the top 6 can we say that we've got better forward options than?
Man United, if they're top 6. Maybe Villa. I'll probably say I reckon I mean, they got Watkins and Duran, but I think I would still take if we're taking a forward line, a set of including the depth. As much as I like Watkins and Duran, I'm taking ours in terms of the set of attackers. Yeah, Liverpool, I love their depth. Arsenal, Chelsea, they've got one of the best depths in the league. City is City. Arsenal, I mean, they're also very good, but. Is it nowhere near, is the question.
Right now, no, it's not.
Just because they're worse doesn't mean is it nowhere near.
I mean, as a set of players, yeah, I don't think it is anywhere near. Like, those clubs would not touch Timo with a barge pole, and we're bringing him in.
Yeah, but he's our, 6th choice, in a way.
Well, he's our backup left winger.
Well, when everyone was fit, he was playing Odobert ahead of him. Wasn't he?
I guess. But if you want to look at what we thought at the beginning of the season, we thought it was going to be Odobert to back up Brennan and Timo to back up Son.
Yeah, but as a set of attackers, yeah, they wouldn't touch Timo, but Son, Solanke, Brennan's developing at the moment. You know, Richarlison can get goals as a backup striker. Like backup striker, I think that's a pretty good backup to have if he's fit anyway. Like, as much as it's not as good, like. I don't know. I feel like at the moment you look at it and think, yeah, it's nowhere near. But I actually don't. I think it's closer than people think, in my opinion.
When you're looking at all those clubs that you're talking about,
like in a few months' time, if Solanke's just banging them in and Sonny's back to his best, I don't think people will be looking at it in a different light. You know what I mean?
I think Sonny is probably the only one that gets into any of those teams.
I think Solanke, potentially.
And get in which team? He doesn't get into Man City, that's for sure.
Man City, maybe not. Arsenal.
I don't think he gets into the Arsenal team.
You think Havertz very much like? But that's the thing. Havertz maybe is in better form. And, you know, you could argue he's a better player. I'm saying, but it's close. I don't think it's that far. I don't think it's like Havertz is definitely better. It's probably close. Liverpool, could he be a number 9 for Liverpool? Why not? They've got they don't really have a proper number 9.
They had him.
Yeah, I know, but he's now a much better player. I think there's no reason why he couldn't be their number 9. Chelsea, they've got Jackson. He's
Diogo
a great player.
Jota. They got Diogo Jota.
Is Jota a better number 9 than Solanke? He might be a better player. Is he a better number 9? I don't think so, in my opinion.
If I'm a Liverpool fan, am I really like being like, I wish I'd have Solanke over Jota? I don't think so.
Not as a player, but as a number 9, I think he's a better number 9. I would rather have Solanke in the number 9 than Jota, in my opinion. As much as I think Jota's a better player. What I'm saying is I reckon he could probably get in the team as a 9 there. You know, is Jackson clearly a better player than Solanke? I don't think so.
Is Jackson a better player than Solanke?
Clearly a better player.
Clearly. Why does it need to be clearly?
Because we're talking about if we're saying nowhere near as good.
Yeah.
So I'm saying,
yeah, but you're picking up one player. We're talking about our attacking options as a collective.
Son's the only one they would touch. I think Solanke, I think they would go for as well.
Solanke they'd bring in as maybe squad rotation at times. But
I think he could be a number one striker.
The only one that gets into their team would be Sonny. He's the only one.
I'm saying for a few of them, I think Solanke gets in their team.
Not cut and dry. It's not cut and dry.
But it's close. The whole point of this tweet is people are saying, right, our attack is nowhere near as good. I'm not saying our attack is better or anything. My point is, I think it's closer than people think it is. I think probably on paper right now, it's probably the weakest or one of the weakest set of attackers. But I think people think it's like, because I think this attack that we have is going to get goals. And I think in a few months' time, once we're scoring goals regularly, people will look at it in a different light, in my opinion.
Let's move on. Miss_Chris says it's problematic when players feel no competition for their positions. Dragoshin needs to be given substantial minutes. And I think if Dragoshin isn't given substantial minutes this season at some point, then he's going to want to leave. I think that's just going to be the reality.
He's going to be playing every Europa League game, so that's already when he's.
Is that enough for him though?
Off. I mean, obviously, and I think as well when it comes December time,
with an agent like his as well.
First of all, definitely every Europa League. It depends how he plays in Europa League and how our defenders are playing in Premier League. If Romero continues to have these lapses in concentration and he's playing really well in Europa League, then he should be getting minutes. But if Ange continues to ignore him, and if this situation continues, then yeah, he'll have a right to feel frustrated. Also, I think come December time and when it comes January, and there's a lot of Premier League games, game every 2 days or whatever, then I think Dragoshin will definitely get some run-outs in the Premier League there as well. Obviously, any injuries to Romero and Van de Ven for a few games, it might happen. They can't play every game. Then Dragoshin will get some minutes as well. So. Look, at the end of the day, I think at the end of the day, Romero and Van de Ven are two, in my opinion, better centre-backs. So he's got to either prove to be better than them or bide his time and wait for his opportunity. And that's the reality. That's the role he signed up for. He's not going to be given minutes just because he's here. He's going to have to earn them, and he'll have to do that by playing really well in Europa League.
Mm-hmm. And obviously his 7-minute sending off would have done him no good. And I don't think he hasn't grabbed those opportunities every time he's played this season. Like Coventry, I thought he was poor. The other game in Europa League obviously gets sent off in the first 7 minutes. So
Newcastle played fairly well though.
Yeah.
Even though we lost.
But I just don't think he's been grabbing those opportunities like maybe he did at the back end of last season.
Yeah, I have to agree with that. Yeah, which is really a weird thing when people say like he's deserved his opportunity with Dragons. I'm like, I understand Romero's not been doing great, but is it fair to say that he's deserved it, Dragoshin, by what he's shown? I'm not saying like we should never play him again just because of how he's played when because of sending off. That's not my point. My point was, has Dragoshin, from what he's showed so far, I've seen him shown that he's deserved the minutes that Romero's getting. I wouldn't necessarily say that. It's
hard for him though because it's like he gets a bit part role. He comes in for a game here and a game there. Like how are you supposed to build up any form of consistency? He needs to have a run of games to really see.
That's fair.
Steve says, we have shown no improvement over the last 10 months. I mean, I completely disagree with that. Completely disagree. I think when you're looking at last season and the start to this season, I think you can see a clear signs of progression. Even if you just look at the data and the stats, you're seeing massive signs of progression. So, yeah, maybe we're not showing signs of progression in our results so far, but I think in our general gameplay, how it's evolved from maybe the last 6 months of last season to the start of this season, I do think we are showing signs of progression.
I think so. I think we're having more control of games. I think the problems we're having this season are a bit different to last season in a way. Sometimes lacking, not killing teams off, getting ahead and giving up 2-goal leads, which we weren't really doing that last season. I think last season we were struggling to control games. That was our big problem. And the opposition were getting way too much joy, and as much as we played some good football, I think the opposition were having a lot more of the game. Now we're limiting the opposition a lot more. Yes, the opposition is still having chances, but not as many as they were last season, and we're controlling them a bit more. It's still, obviously, we're finding it difficult to completely shut them out totally, which is, we got to figure out. But last season, if you just remember how we were playing, how games went last season, I think a lot of games we struggled to control, and we weren't doing as good a job as we are this season. So I am seeing progression in the team. I'm seeing improvement. I'm seeing a bit more consistency in those performances as well. But, we're still not completely the way there. And that's going to take a little bit more time. But I definitely see progression for sure, in my opinion.
Joshi10 says, if we stop playing the high line, we would be the best defensive side in the league. I mean, we did drop a bit deeper in that second half, and we didn't show the best side of defensive in the league, did we?
I don't think we would be the best defensive side in the league, because I actually think the players that we play, if you ask them to be in a low block and just defend all the time, I don't think that's their forte. I think
Romero can do that.
Yeah, Romero maybe. I think Van de Ven wouldn't be as good as that. I think Udogie would probably be good. I don't think Porro would be as good. So I don't agree. I don't think it would be the best side in the league.
But you would say in a low block, Dragoshin would be very good as well.
Dragoshin would be good. Dragoshin and Romero together.
Yeah, exactly. If you're playing a low block, you probably want to play Dragoshin and Romero together.
But it's still best side in the league defensively. I don't think so. I think we'd probably maybe concede less goals, but I also think we wouldn't be as good going forward. So
it's a strange one, isn't it, though? Because I always look at our back four, back five, including the goalkeeper, and I look at them in a very positive light in terms of they're all individually such good players. But the system that we play just allows other teams to kind of bypass them maybe a bit too easily at times. Maybe not on a consistent basis, but definitely in moments in games we concede very big chances and very easy chances, and sometimes we're lucky that the teams don't put them away. But what can we change to stop that happening? Surely there's something that we can tweak to stop that happening.
To stop getting caught out.
Yeah,
that's the aim of the game. That's how we play. High risk, high reward. We put a lot of risk to the performance because we want to create as many chances as possible. And the risk is, let's say you create 5 chances and concede 1 chance. The risk is you'll score at least 2 or 3 of those, and maybe either they score that or they miss that chance they do get. That is the thing. I've always said I don't think this is going to stop happening. Like teams getting the odd easy chance. I don't think that's going to stop happening. But the risk is if we keep creating 5 or 6 big chances, right? Will take more than the opposition take, and I think that's the risk versus reward. You
look at the season that the 2 seasons in a row, Liverpool got over 95 points. One of them they won the league. The other time they came second on 97 points or something stupid.
Yeah.
Like they played heavy metal football under Jurgen Klopp, non-stop gung-ho football, attack. But I think the difference between that Liverpool side and this Tottenham side, I still think like the quality of defenders were very similar. Like right back, they had Trent, we had Porro. Like, yeah, fine, Trent is better going forward than Porro, but both of them have been argued to be fairly poor defensively, which I don't really agree with Porro. They had who was it, Matip and Van Dijk at the back. We have Romero and Van de Ven. Obviously, Van Dijk is one of the best centre-backs in Premier League history. And left-back, they have Robertson. Left-back, we've got Destiny Udogie. And I'm saying Liverpool's is definitely much better quality there in the back line. But I still think like our players are young and they can grow into, maybe not exactly the same quality, but definitely close to, in my opinion. The difference is they had that Fabinho at the number 6 who just gobbled up everything in the middle of the park. Do we have that guy? I know we got Basu and Bentancur, but can they do it like Fabinho did it? I don't think they can. I think that's where the issue is.
Yeah, I mean, remains to be seen. That could be that. We all said in the summer, well, maybe upgrading 6 is in a perfect world. It's a very difficult market at the moment. I think Bentancur is a very good player. We'll have to wait and see whether he's up to the task of being that consistent player in that role. I think we're seeing signs of it, but I don't think he's 100% there yet. But I think
he's never going to be a Fabinho, is he?
Who knows? Why?
Who, Bentancur?
Yeah.
Fabinho was one of the best 6s.
Right, and Bentancur was an unbelievably consistent midfielder before that injury, wasn't he?
Yeah, but I think he can be brilliant on the ball in terms of what he brings us, but I don't think he's ever going to touch the surface of what Fabinho did off the ball.
I don't know. He was a very consistent player for Juventus when he was playing in their 6 for many years when they were challenging for league titles and being very good. Like I'm not sitting here saying Bentancur is better than Fabinho in any way, or even better than Rodri or not. What I'm saying here is, could you have a team challenging with Bentancur on the team? Why not?
I just feel like we need a proper monster in there. I don't think Bentancur's a monster, and I like Bentancur.
He could be.
I like Bentancur. Don't get me wrong. I like him, but I just feel like we need like a worldie in that position if we're going to really challenge for the league title.
Maybe, but I'm saying I think Bentancur before that injury was on his way to doing that, in my opinion. Unfortunately, the injury has really hampered him very badly. Now the question is, will he ever get back to his best? I think if he continues the trajectory he was before the injury, I think he can do it. If he can't get back to his levels, then yeah, we're going to have to look in a different direction, unfortunately. But you talking about Liverpool side, yeah, when they brought in Fabinho, things changed. But before that, it was actually very similar to what we are now for Liverpool. And I think they finished in his first two full seasons. Klopp, they finished like I think they finished fourth, but very open like we are now. Then they finished fourth again, but got to a Champions League final. But they're having a lot of very similar issues to what we have, until they really got the balance right. And it took a bit of tweaking a few things. But, Ange's still in that process. We've got to give him that time. The
difference between that Liverpool side and what they did and what Spurs are doing, they went out and bought the best in class in defence, goalkeeper and central defensive midfielder. We haven't really done that. I mean, you can say that we've done it with maybe Van de Ven. I don't think there's a better sweeping centre-back potentially than him right now. But are we going to go out and get the best in class in CDM, or are we just going to persist with what we got? Is Bentancur ever going to be the best in class?
Was Fabinho the best CDM in Europe when they signed him?
Where they signed him from?
From Monaco.
Alisson
was signed for big money, but he was signed from Roma. I don't think people thought he was the best goalkeeper in Europe when they signed him. But
they backed it with big money because they believed he could be.
Exactly,
and they believed he was.
Right, but we're also backing players, but not obviously as big a money as that. But we're signing these players because we believe in them as well.
I mean, Alisson, when they signed him, wasn't he like the best goalkeeper in Serie A at the time?
Yeah, and people were saying the same about Vicario, one of the best in Serie A.
Yeah, it's different doing it for Roma over a couple of years, and then Vicario did it for Empoli over 1 or 2 years. I mean, it's a bit different. I don't think you could say it's the same. And
I'm not saying it's the same. I'm just saying we signed them with the belief that they could be very good players, be very good.
We signed Vicario because he was a cheaper option to David Raya. That's why we signed him.
Yeah, but we also signed him because we identified him as a goalkeeper.
Yeah, look, don't get me wrong. I'm happy with Vicario. I think he's a top keeper, but they went out there. They got the best in class of who they thought was going to be the best in class. We didn't.
Now. Were people saying Alisson at the time is the best keeper in Europe or anything like that?
100%. I think they did. They said that he's got potential to be, for sure.
Potential to be. Exactly.
And he was the best goalkeeper in Serie A.
Yeah, and Vicario was one of I think last season, the season we signed him, I was watching a lot of Italian journalists, and they said he was the best keeper for that season in Serie A.
Yeah, but you just can't compare a Vicario to an Alisson.
No, I'm not. I'm not saying Vicario is better than Alisson. I'm just saying what we're saying is how we're approaching things. Liverpool and Tottenham, we're comparing, right? I think we're at similar stages to where Klopp was early in his career. To where we are.
But they're just dealing with their business in a different way than we are.
Yeah, but they didn't do it. I'm saying, but we haven't got to that stage yet.
And Van Dijk.
We haven't got to that stage yet.
Van Dijk.
That was Klopp's third season. He got Van Dijk.
Yeah.
And Alisson, and Fabinho. That was all that his third season. We're still earlier on, and what I'm saying is where we are now, where Klopp was in his early stages, is very similar.
Yeah, I don't disagree with that. Zar says Jed Spence is ready to start in the Premier League. I agree with this. I think he is ready. Every time he comes on, I'm pretty impressed with him, and he should have had minutes in the Brighton game when you saw how Destiny was struggling, and. It's just a shame. It just makes a mockery out of this Europa League squad. Like, why is he not in that squad? It makes no sense.
Yeah, I think he's ready to start. Whether he's better than Porro or Udogie, I don't think so. But if need be, if we need him to start a game, is he ready to start? I agree, he's ready to start. Would I start him now? Would you drop Udogie for the next game?
Would I drop Udogie for the next game? No, but I wouldn't have a problem with starting Spence over Udogie. If I was going to pick the team, I'd pick Udogie. But if Spence is playing, I'm not going into that game worried.
Yeah, so that's my point. Like, he's ready to start. Would I start him? No. But is he ready to start? Yes.
Yeah. Sussex Tottenham says Kulusevski is too inconsistent to become a top player. 2 class games, 2 poor games, 2 average games. The cycle continues. On his day, he's very good. but like a lot of this team, too inconsistent. I actually think he's been probably the most consistent player we've had this season. Decky.
Yeah, I think that's a bit of a weird criticism this season. I think maybe in previous seasons you can argue that point, but I think this season right now I don't think he's had a bad game, to be honest. I think he's been pretty consistently good. So we'll have to wait and see.
It's a small sample size, though.
It's a small sample size, so we'll have to wait and see if we can keep up for the rest of the season. But I don't know. I just think for this season it's a bit harsh criticism, but we'll see. Like, I don't see why you would see how he's playing this season and then make that point. But I can understand maybe in seasons gone by that's a valid criticism.
Yeah, this point that he's brought up is probably not just on this season. It's probably just on his Spurs career as a whole. And if you want to take his Spurs career as a whole, then he's absolutely spot on.
Yeah, that's true. But we'll have to wait and see if he's got over that or not. He's still young. Got to remember, he's still a young player.
What, 24?
Yeah. So like he's 24 now. So maybe he can get to a stage where he can get that consistency. And maybe he's hit that. We'll have to wait and see.
D-Ran THFC saying Kulusevski is better than Bellingham as of today.
Better than
Have
Bellingham.
a break. Have a day
Come
off,
on.
mate. Have a day off.
Come on, Decky. Come on.
Spurs shirts fan says Under Armour made the best, some of our best shirts.
Is that an unpopular opinion? Did not people not like the Under Armour?
I'm trying to think of the Under Armour shirts. There were some really nice Under Armour shirts.
Like AVB time,
but you know, a lot of
Poch, early stages of Poch.
Yeah, a lot of people give the Nike a bad rap, but I think Nike have made some brilliant shirts for Spurs.
They'd be nice. Yeah, I don't mind. I don't have a big problem with Nike. Under Armour, they were quite nice. I'm trying to think of the away kits with Under Armour. The Erasmus shirts.
Yeah.
Autonomy.
They were good. Yeah. They were good, but I still think Nike have been better.
I think I prefer the Nike ones as well.
Vic says Davinson Sanchez was a better defender than Dragishin.
Wow.
Now that is a muddy take.
Jeez. I guess we haven't still, as much as I like Dragishin, we actually haven't seen like that much of him in the grand scheme of things since he's come in January. But Sanchez I haven't seen many clown moments like Sanchez used to have so far. Apart from obviously he did have the red card, but
when I think of Davinson Sanchez, I just think against Man City that face palm into the ground.
I just think of Bambi on ice. That's how I think of just someone sliding around, slipping over, just like not being like just always being bamboozled. That's what I think of when I think of Sanchez. On his day, to be fair, he was a very good defender when he was concentrating, and he was because he's strong and he's quick and he could be very good. So he had some really good days, but like just more often than not, he'll lose concentration or he'd slip over or do just something bad. And I haven't seen that so far from Dragishin, but then again, last game he did get the red card.
With Davinson, it was so frustrating because when you look at him, he's got all the tools to be a top centre back, particularly in the Premier League. You know, he's fast, good physique, he's strong, could potentially be good on the ball as well, but every time he had a couple of good games and the whole fan base would be like, oh, we've got Davinson's actually playing all right now. And then he puts in a stinker.
Exactly. Always a false dawn with Davinson.
Running Man says, when everyone is fit, Son should be on the bench and he shouldn't be captain.
Why shouldn't he be captain? Why shouldn't he be captain?
What is this?
He's a great leader.
I can't stand when Spurs fans go in on Sonny. Like, it happens year after year after year, and he proves everyone wrong year after year after year. When is everyone just going to realise this guy is our best player? He's got the most quality out of anyone in the team, particularly the forward line, and he's most adept at being a captain, and he's the best leader we have in the team as well. So I hate all these bad takes about Son. They actually piss me off.
Like, I understand criticising Son. Like, everyone is worthy of criticism, and Son is no less than anyone else. But when people say he's done and he should be on the bench and we need to sell him and all this kind of stuff, I think it's just nonsense. It's absolute rubbish. Like, there's nothing he's shown, even this season, to suggest that he's at that level where he's done or he's not offers nothing or he's useless nor he should be benched. Like, you know, that performance against Brentford, like one of the best creative performances we've seen. He's already got 4 goal contributions this season as well in 5 games. Yeah. Like, this guy is still performing and he's still putting up numbers, and people still want to say all this rubbish about him. I just don't understand until he gets to a stage where he's like consistently not performing, like he's never hit that stage. So like, I don't understand all this. It's like people are just like ready to rush his end for some reason. I don't know why. Like, I don't know why fans always like want to preempt it like they're ahead of the game. Like, yes, he's 32. Yes, obviously he's not going to go on forever, but he's still at a stage where he's performing consistently at a really high level. And I don't understand why people just want to be done with him. I don't get that.
You'll be sorry once he's gone.
Exactly.
You'll be very sorry once he's gone. Comet says, I'd replace Romero with Ben Davis. I don't care what anyone says.
Yeah, he's not, is that Ariane? No, I wouldn't do that.
What is that buddy take? As much as Romero has let us down on a few occasions this season, to say you want Ben Davis starting ahead of Romero is mind-boggling.
So you'd want Ben Davis ahead of Dragoshin, I'm guessing he's saying.
Ben Davis at right centre-back, yeah?
Exactly.
You on that?
I don't, and to be fair to Davis, he's been all right when he's played, but I don't think he's been that good where you could say like he needs to be ahead of Romero. No chance.
Yeah. Davey Spurs says Romero's had a bad start to the season and Dragoshin should be given a chance in his place. I mean, I wouldn't be against it right now. I really wouldn't.
I think that I would still play Romero as much as he's kept making mistakes, because I know he can play through it. I know he's a player when he's at his best. We need that kind of quality. I guess, look, if he keeps making his mistakes, there has to come a stage where he has to come out of the team for sure. For me, he hasn't hit it just yet. But if he keeps happening, then I'll take him out and put Dragoshin in. But just the problem for me is when Dragoshin's played, he's not been great. So I don't see. It's not, if Dragoshin had been performing really well in the games he's been playing, I'd probably agree, but he hasn't. So I wouldn't be in that level, that stage where he has to come in. But if Dragoshin can up his game and Romero keeps making mistakes, then I agree.
But it's like, if you're Dragoshin and you're seeing, I know Romero, he's had very good games this season, right? When we're in the ascendancy, when we're on the ball and when we're playing well, Romero's brilliant. But when the chips are down and we're struggling, Romero does go missing from time to time, and the goals that he's been at fault for this season. So if Dragoshin is watching that, surely he's losing a bit of do you think he's losing a bit of motivation to be like, how am I ever going to get in this team if he's playing like that and he's been at heart of a few goals that we've conceded this season? When's he ever going to get his chance in the Premier League?
Yeah, but Dragoshin's got to do his part as well. And his part is doing well when he gets the opportunity, and he hasn't done that yet. So partly, as much as he'll be feeling that, but he shouldn't be blaming anyone but himself for not doing his part at the moment.
Do you feel like if he would have had a good performance in the Carabao game, in the Coventry game, then he would be getting his chance in the league?
Maybe. I think there'd be more of a case for it, is my point.
But even if there is more of a case to it, I still don't think he would have taken out Romero in the league.
Well, he wouldn't have taken out for Brighton because he was playing really well up until then. Obviously, the early parts of the season, I think we should have rested Romero anyway in the early parts of the season because he didn't get a break in the summer. So I think Dragoshin probably should have got a chance then. I agree. Obviously, we played Romero through that, gave a few sloppy goals. But to be fair to Romero, obviously since the Arsenal game, he was pretty consistent for a good few games. Then obviously the game against Brighton. But then you can make a case for all the defenders being dropped after that Brighton game, not just him, as much as he's culpable for being the captain. But
the difference is that Romero has had previous poor performances this season. The other ones haven't really. Yeah,
but after a run of a good few games, I don't want to just all of a sudden drop him again because of one mistake or a bad half. I would still want to get him back to that consistency he was showing in those 5 games rather than bash him and take him out of the team based off that half.
Shimon says, 18 says, Son is done. Enough of these crap.
Scroll past this rubbish.
Son is done. He's our best bloody player.
You're done. Unliked.
NJ says Van de Ven and Udogie are not as good as our fan base make out.
Van de Ven, well, how good do we make? Well, why? Because Van de Ven slipped a few times against Brighton and Newcastle. Was that why? He's been so consistent. I don't understand why people have these agendas. Because I know we hype up Van de Ven a lot, but people take those Newcastle and Brighton games and they extrapolate it as if he does that more often than he does. He's literally had those are 2 games I can point to where Van de Ven's just not played well. The majority of the time he's played, he's just been so consistent, but barely makes any mistakes. He's so good at sweeping up, so important to the team. He's a fantastic centre-back. I'm astonished how, at his age, how consistent he is, and actually his temperament and composure. He's just so good, and he's still so young. 22, 23. came into the team at 22. So he's still, for a centre-back as well, usually centre-backs at that age, Saliba's one who's obviously an anomaly, but usually centre-backs at that age are not that strong. And Van de Ven is class. He's one of the best in the league. I really believe that. Like, how good does NJ think he is then if he's not as good as what we're making out?
I think if Van de Ven is in any of the top six, we were talking about the top six with our forward line. If Van de Ven is any of the top 6 teams, he starts for all of them.
Pretty much, yeah. I think he gets in. Doggy, when he's the problem with the Doggy is since last season, he had that injury. And, when the games leading up to injury, he wasn't very good. And then the beginning of this season, he had a couple of games where he started well, but then, second half, he wasn't so good.
Come back from an injury.
Brighton, it happened. But I actually think there have been signs of a Doggy getting back to his best. And I think when he's at his best and he's at his most fittest, there are very few left backs better than him. And also, the left back market in the Premier League is not very strong. You got like Calafiori and like Ake, but there's not like too many good left backs. Robertson, but he's aging. He's not as good as he used to be. Estepinian, but is he much better than the Doggy? I don't think so. I think the Doggy is right up there with the best left backs in the league. There's just not that many good left backs.
What's the name? The Fulham one.
Robertson, he's a good one. I'm not saying they're not good, but there's no great. It's not like loads of great to pick from where it's crazy to say a Doggy's one of the best. Yeah. I don't think it is. So
I think a Doggy is one of the best. I think he's brilliant. And especially for his age as well. He's only going to be getting better.
So I wonder what NJ, where would he place these guys if he's not saying they're as good as we think? Like, where would he place them?
Kebby says, Eze over Sonny. Nah. I would not take Eze over Sonny. But who I would take Eze over is probably... I would potentially take Eze over James Maddison.
Well, not how he's playing this season. At the moment, he's had a bit of poor start to the season. I like Eze a lot. Is he a better player than Maddison? I think when they're both at their very best, I actually still think Maddison, but I think Eze is probably a bit more consistent than Maddison, especially when he keeps. I think he's got a better injury record. He stays fit a bit more, and I think Maddison makes more of a difference actually when to the overall game when they're both like at their very, very best. I actually still think Maddison's better. The question always has been for Maddison about staying consistent. And would you rather a consistent 7 or 8 out of 10 or someone who can do 9s and also do 5s? That's the problem when you got Maddison.
But Eze can do 9s as well.
I don't think he does them as much as Maddison.
Well, if you look at the back end of last season, when Glasner just came in towards the end of the season, I mean, he was putting in worldies every week.
I think it was actually more Elise than him, to be honest.
Both of them were.
I think Elise was the better one, to be honest. But I think Eze's still good. Don't get me wrong, I love Eze. I'm being one of his biggest fans. If you ask me to swap Eze for Maddison right now, if I just a straight swap, would I swap Eze for Maddison?
I would.
Would I swap? It's a tough decision, man. It's tough. I think I would say no. I'm going to say no.
I think 100% yes. 100%. Dallas and Spurs says Porro is our most overrated player.
Why?
I don't think he's our most overrated player.
Again, one of the best right
Porro's
backs in
brilliant.
the league.
Porro's brilliant.
You got Trent, right? Who else is better? I mean,
got
who's
Ben
better?
White.
Ben White. I mean, even that, I think it's not that. I think it's close, in my opinion. But yeah, you could argue Ben White, but I think you could definitely make arguments for
Kyle Walker.
Porro. You got Walker, but he's declining. As much as he's good, he's still declining, and I think he's not as good as he was. I thought he was terrible for England in the Euros. I
think Porro is one of the players
again,
that have
in the top 5. I think
he's consistently improved under Angelo, hasn't he?
Yeah, I think so. He's gone better and better. And why is he overrated? Again, I would say he's one of the best right backs in the league. Why is that overrating him? Is he not? I don't know. Why not?
I think he's top 4 right backs in the league. Not sure where he ranks, so. But top 4 for sure. Owen THFC says Van de Ven is already better than Romero. What do you reckon? Who's better, Van de Ven or Romero?
I think Romero is the better player at their best, in my opinion. But Van de Ven is probably more consistent. He's got a more consistent base level. He doesn't have those lapses usually. But then again, I feel like Van de Ven as well, when we're defending deep, he maybe doesn't have the lapses because he's like we're defending so high all the time. He's not in those positions a lot. Whereas maybe Romero, I don't know. I feel like when it comes to like crossing in the box in a weird way, I think Romero is actually still better than him. even though he's the one lapsing in concentration a bit more. But I think Van de Ven can also get caught in those situations, but it's not as obvious all the time when he does it.
I feel like with Van de Ven and Romero, I feel like if one of them is going to get a big injury that will affect us more, it'll be Van de Ven, because I don't think we have a defender that can replicate what Van de Ven does in terms from the defensive aspect of the game, where if you bring in a Dragoshin over Romero, yeah, you're losing the quality on the ball that Romero has, but from a pure defensive capability level, I feel like we miss Van de Ven a lot more than we would miss Romero in the team. True.
Like, would I rather Dragoshin and Romero or Dragoshin and Van de Ven? I'll probably Dragoshin and Van de Ven.
Yeah, so I think Van de Ven is more important to us than Romero.
I agree with that. I can agree. In terms of how we play, especially, I would agree with that. But as well, people underestimate how important Romero is in his that proactive work that he does. And, you know, he's top of the league for ball recoveries, like, in the middle of the park. And that is so important to how he plays, because every time he wins the ball back, that's just another chance to attack. But then again, the same with Van de Ven. Every time he sweeps, that's just another attack thwarted for the opposition. And that's also just as important. So I'm not saying there's anything more, but I think people see those sweeps, right? And that's like because
it's so in your face.
It's so in your face. He's running in behind. He's using that pace, and it's like an obvious thing because there's usually an attacker running in one-on-one, and then Van de Ven comes and saves the day, right? Those are always things that stick in your mind. But when Romero's like pinching the ball off an attacker in the middle of the park, people don't remember those things. But all those are also very important.
True. HK47 say, even though it's totally understandable the frustration this godforsaken club gives us, we can't as a fan base constantly switch up every week. One week we are incredible and going to win the lot. The next week we are shit and we will never amount to anything. People need to chill. That's just the life of a football fan, unfortunately.
But I think as well, because every year, right, because we haven't won a trophy, and every year we want Tottenham to do something special. We're not like, we don't, because it's been so long where we basically haven't done anything really special like since Levy's taken over. As much as we got to Champions League final, in terms of like winning something special, right, we haven't done that. So every year we're always looking for that moment. Is this the year it's going to be a special year? Is this the moment, like, you know, a title challenge or something really big? So whenever we have like a result which like you're not expecting, or a result that goes our way, it's like that special thing is never going to happen this year. Look how rubbish we are, and there's a complete meltdown. And then whenever we win, have a good win, we all get excited, like, oh my god, is it actually going to be special this year? Is it actually going to be a special year? So there's really no in between, because we don't want to have like an average year or like a decent year. It's either it's special or it's a failure. You know what I mean? So that's why it's so like polarized, because either that special thing's not going to happen or it is going to happen.
Yeah.
And whenever we have like an average result or a poor result, that takes away from, doesn't mean we can't have a decent year, but it means that special year is not going to happen. And so that's why it's like so polarized, because we don't want decent, we don't want good, we want special, because we haven't had special, and that's the problem. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I do know what you mean.
That's why it's so polarized.
Oliver Lenkthorne says, Timo Werner is the worst winger we've had in 16, nearly 17 years, which is his lifetime.
Is he the worst winger in 60 years?
As much as
Nkudu,
I'm not.
G.
Those are the first two that I had in my mind. Like, as much as Werner, I'm not a big fan of Werner, as you clearly know, but we have had worse wingers than Werner in the last 15, 16, 17 years, 100%.
Is he in the bottom five?
Probably.
Apart from Nkudu and Ng, what other worse wingers would you say?
Is Chadley better than Werner?
Ooh. I think Chadley's probably a better player, to be honest.
But like,
probably,
like Chadley in this system would not cut. He's way too slow.
You're right. He wouldn't cut it out. He had one good year. Remember that one year he was just banging in goals from like left, right, and centre. But then he never really continued it. It was that one year he got a goal at the Emirates.
And he shushed the crowd.
I mean, that was great. In terms of other wingers that have been terrible for us, I mean, there must be like, you know, the early 2000s, late 90s. We must have had some dreadful wingers, surely.
Yeah, I'm just trying to think. Let's see.
Rule Fox, was Rule Fox better than him?
Werner's much better than Rule Fox.
Like during those Hoddle days, we probably had some terrible wingers.
There's nowhere I can see just a list of Spurs wingers, but look, as much as Timo Werner is not
Simovic,
the
was
great,
he a winger? No,
I think he was a midfielder.
More attacking mid. We had like really old set midfield like wingers. Trying to see here. Where's our squad? I mean, Rebrov, was he a winger more of a
No, Rebrov was a striker.
More of a striker. Johnny Jackson, he was a winger. He was
he a winger?
Yeah, he was a left winger, wasn't he? Rohan Ricketts, he was kind of a right winger. We didn't really have many wingers at this point. Anderton was great, but in his last 5 years, he wasn't very good.
Anderton, Werner ain't fit to lace Anderton's boots,
No,
mate.
he's not.
The quality that Anderton had in that foot of his, in that leg of his.
But he just, with his last 5 years, he was always injured. He was slow.
You almost want Timo's pace with Anderton's quality.
Then you got a real player. Reto Ziegler, more of a left back, I guess. Timothy Atuba, again probably more of a left back. Yeah, maybe is in the bottom 5. Because I just think we've had a lack of wingers because we had Bell and Lennon for a while.
Yeah.
No one really coming in on them.
Trying to think who else is there.
Because I remember for a while we had that problem at left wing. We always had to put Edgar Davids there and Timu Tainio there.
Edgar Davids at left wing?
Yeah, we played him a lot there.
Stephen Bergwijn is a winger.
Yeah, Bergwijn. I mean,
who's better, Timo or Bergwijn?
I think probably Timo contributes more, doesn't he, than Bergwijn?
Bergwijn got that goal against Man City.
And Leicester. The Leicester moment.
The Leicester moment. Is Timo ever going to provide a Leicester moment for
probably
us?
Not.
We probably would have said Bergwijn was never going to provide that moment for us until he did.
Yeah, I'll probably go. I think I'd prefer Bergwijn, to be honest.
So why did we sell him?
Why did we sell him? Because he wanted to start regularly. It was never going to happen here.
Next up is from Kong108 saying, the 5-game streak was extremely overhyped as all teams were either small or completely out of form. And I actually agree with this.
Overhyped in what way, though?
Because everyone was being like, including me, everyone was like, yeah, we've turned the corner now. We're a really good side. We won 5 games in a row. Everyone was making so much about 5 games in a row that we've won. And yes, I know it's a good thing whoever you're playing against to win 5 games in a row, but there was no barometer of how good we are winning those 5 games in a row because one of us was against Championship opposition, 2 of them were against Europa League opposition, and those 3 games we should won every day of the week. We should be winning those games. Brentford at home, we should be winning that 9 times out of 10 as well. So the only game that was probably a bit impressive going to win was the game away at Man United, and it's probably the worst Man United side we've ever seen.
Maybe, but it was a United side that a week later draw away at Villa. So, they're not always that easy to play against. But yeah, I know they're not a great United side. They're not United sides of old, that's for sure. But look, 5 wins is 5 wins. I don't think anyone was saying we're going to win the league. It just put us back on track. I think that's all people were saying. I don't know, overhyped in what way? I mean, maybe if people were saying going overboard, saying Spurs are going to challenge or something, then yeah. But I think the run, especially considering we had inconsistent results, I think that run of wins did put us back on track, and it was a big setback on Sunday. But I don't know. I don't think I overhyped it.
Maybe not you particularly, but I do feel like there was a sense of overhypeness in the fan base. But
I think you got to take it all in context because it was the 5 wins off the back of the results being inconsistent, but the performances still being strong, right? Before that. So then all of a sudden the performances started matching results, and that's what people were getting excited about.
Because we were playing poor opposition, though.
Maybe, but you could argue that. But also, at the end of the day, the performances matching results because we were just happy with the performances. You know what I mean? So we could see the results would turn at some point, and all of a sudden in that 5-game run, the results were matching the performances.
Yeah, but then the first time we come up against a decent side, we lose.
Yeah, but we were 2-0 up. It happened, and we have to learn from it. But it doesn't mean that hopefully we haven't turned a corner.
We'll have to wait and see after the international break. Hyungmin says, Ange is too stubborn to actually mount a title challenge in this league. When you're 2-0 up away from home against a good team, you switch up your tactics and sit in to hold on to your lead rather than keeping your defenders on the halfway line. I don't think that was an issue, though. We didn't have a high line issue in that second half. We had a individual errors issue where everyone just thought they'd won the game. I don't think it was a tactical issue in the second half. I think it was a mentality issue.
I think mentality as well. I think we do have a bit of a problem with fatigue, especially at the start of second halves. It's been I think there's been a bit of an issue, even in games where we've won, where in that period there's a bit of a drop off, and we have to figure out why that happens. And I think there's got to be some tinkering or whatever by Ange, and I think there's a problem. But I wouldn't necessarily, because imagine. There's how many games have we seen in the past with Tottenham where we've gone 2-0 up, and we have done that, sat back, and then we put ourselves under pressure, and then people say, oh, why do we sit back? That's probably cost us the game. So I don't think it's wrong to just try and keep your foot on their neck, right, and try and just kill the game in that way. But obviously, I think when it comes to, let's say, in the 70th, 80th minute, right, and you're 2-0 up, and then you're still holding the high line, and then you give up the game in that way, I probably would agree. But I don't think start of the second half, that's completely necessary to do that.
But we did drop deeper in the second half than we were in the first half anyway.
I don't think we did.
I felt like we did.
I think we were forced deeper. I don't think we dropped deeper.
Maybe. But we were deeper.
Yeah, but I don't think
it wasn't by design.
Yeah, it wasn't by design. Yeah, it wasn't by design.
Norwegian Vikings of Spurs says, drop Romero and start Drakoshin against West Ham. If Son is still out, put a doggy at left wing.
Doggy left wing?
But Son isn't going to be out, though. So
I don't know. I don't know about a doggy left wing. I don't know if he's going to be that player to, like, take people on in that position. I don't know.
He'll just bundle past them.
Yeah, he could do that. But is he going to get goal contributions in that role? Maybe. I
don't see why not.
So you think he can play left wing?
I think if we're really struggling, he can play there. But we've got players that can play there, so I don't think there's need for a doggy to play there. Maybe I'd prefer Spence to play at left wing than I'd prefer a doggy to.
I'm just thinking how we play the ball. He's going to be left in that situation one-on-one with defenders. Could he get the beating of his man? Could he whip some deliveries?
I think he's got a good cross on him, and I think he can beat his man.
Maybe he could fill in there. I wouldn't want him to see him there over more than like a game, essentially. But maybe for a one-off game, if we need him to do that, yeah. But I don't know about him being a left winger.
James Crabtree says he hasn't been the most likeable along the way, but Daniel Levy is actually a good chairman who has slowly built a strong foundation for Spurs to thrive moving forward. Matchday revenue, non-football events revenue, no personal loans from ownership to the club, no FFP issues, etc. I don't know about that, man. I don't know about that. When you're looking at Daniel Levy, spoken about Daniel Levy so much over the past, but in my opinion, we're in this situation that we're in. Like, this rebuild should have happened 5 years ago. Like, why the hell? What have we been doing for the last 5 years? That's all on Daniel Levy's watch, and that was all because of Daniel Levy. And yes, in recent times, he's made good steps in terms of regenerating the squad and bringing in a attacking philosophy with Ange Postecoglou and regenerated the backroom staff and everything like that, which is steps in the right direction. But he's held us back more times than he's brought us forward, in my opinion.
I think if you're looking for the whole history of his tenure, then I think there's a lot to criticise.
Just look at the last 5 years.
Yeah, I'm saying if you look at the history of his tenure, whatever the last 5 years, look at what he's done in the past. There's a countless amount of things you can point to, just to say that he held us back from progressing at this point, at that point, and he didn't invest and he made bad decisions. I agree with all of that. But what I would make the argument is right now, where we're sitting right now in the league, and where we are in the project, and where we are in terms of the squad and the management and recruitment and transfers, as of this squad of 24-25 season, is the chairman a factor in holding us back as of right now? I mean, I look at the team, right? All of our players, pretty much 1 to 11. Majority of those players are like 30 million plus signings. They're all like fairly expensive signings, and he's. I think the recruitment's improved. I think he's got a manager who likes to play attacking football we like to see. I would make the argument right now, like, as much as I've had my complaints and points to be angry about Levy before, and all these different things about him holding us back, and I think they're completely valid. I just don't look at the team right now, and I don't look at where we are and think that the way the club is run or the way we've invested in the team is something that's holding us back right now. That's why I would make the argument.
Yeah, but we should be a lot further on than we are at this moment in time.
By the by. I agree.
It's not by the by.
No, it is by the by. That's not part of my argument. I agree with that.
But that should be part of your argument.
But my argument is right now, as the team is right now, and how the squad is built, and how much we've been investing recently, and the recruitment and the state of the recruitment and the management. Right now, this season, I don't see the ownership right now being part of something that's holding us back.
I mean, we did bring in Timo Werner on loan. Is that part of the ownership? Is that Ange? Is that both of it put together? I don't know.
That's Ange, but yeah.
We don't actually know. But from what we've heard from Johan Lang is that Daniel Levy actually has no say in the players that are coming into this club at the moment, which is a positive step. Definitely a positive step in the right direction. And I agree to a certain extent. I agree in a sense that since Ange has come in, we've made forward steps, as opposed to in every other manager's tenure, it's just been backward steps. So I'll give him credit for that, but I need to see this happening over a much longer stretch of time to say Daniel Levy isn't holding us back, and that's just
I'm not saying he hasn't in the past, or maybe he still is. But what I'm saying is, what I'm seeing with my own eyes, right? How much this team we've built has cost, how much we are investing, how recruitment is now run, the management choices he's picked and stuff like that. Like, I just don't see what. I mean, yes, could we spend more on, like, could we go 100 million instead of 50 million on players, or 60 million on players, maybe. But like, I think, as I say, you go to 1 to 11, right? Like Vicario was 70 million. Apart from Vicario, I think they're all pretty much very expensive signings, actually. Porro is 40 million, Romero is 40 million, Van der Ven's 40 million. Udogie was like 20, but obviously he's a good player. Bentancur and Basuma, each of them were about 25, 30 million. Madison's 40 million. Kulusevski's 30 million.
Bentancur was like 15 million.
15 to 20 million, maybe. But he's a good player. Solanke, 65 million. Brennan, 50 million. Sonny was 22 million, but obviously he's a very good player. Look, whether you think those are smart piece of business or those guys are worth the money is another question. My point is, could you build a team could you build a team capable of challenging with that level of investment in those kind of players? Why not?
I think it just remains to be seen, because I don't think we did enough in the summer just gone. As much as we did spend big fees on particular players, I just don't think we did enough. I don't think our forward line is strong enough still. I think that we've got a gap in the midfield that we need to be filling, and no left back replacement for Destiny as well, which is.
That's not my point. My point isn't do we have enough in the squad. My point is the level of investment in all these players, whether you think they're worth the money or not. But you think about how much we spent on all these players, right? Yes, we could have, instead of spending that 50 million on Brendan, we could have spent that 50 million on something else. But spending 50 million on a right winger, that's like, is that not enough investment on a right winger, if you know what I mean?
Yeah, but it's not just about investment, is it?
Well, isn't it?
It's not just about investment. It's about taking the club to where the club needs to be. And yeah, you say you don't want to put in the previous 5 years into your argument, but it has to be there because we've been held back for too long. And I like the direction. Like I said, I like the direction that we're going in. I think it's a positive step in the way that we're investing, the amounts that we're spending. But we need to go out there and we need to buy the best in class in certain positions. And will we ever do that under Daniel Levy? I'm not too sure.
I would argue. I'd argue you have to buy the best. You have to. I don't know. I think other team. I wouldn't necessarily say that's necessarily true, because you look at people like City, like they've built a defence signing people like Akanji and Ake, and like they've got good players who are really good. But when they signed them, you wouldn't have said they were the best. Kovacic, when they signed him, great player. You wouldn't have said he was the best, but they've managed to get very good players, and obviously either make them better or whatever. But you can build a team capable of challenging, not without spending 100 million on all these players. In my opinion, you can spend. I think 40 to 50 million, spending that kind of level, that amount of amount on a number of players, can put you in a position of challenging. Obviously, you have to spend it wisely. And that's a different argument. But I'm saying, my point is, the level of investment we're currently making in the team is a good level of investment. And I don't think like the level of investment, and my point is right now anyway, I'm not talking about the past, I'm saying right now the level of investment we're putting in the team, I don't think is what's holding us back.
But to really push on and to really fight at the top of the league, you need to make that level of investment that we're talking about. Arsenal, yeah, they were fighting for the league the year before, but since signing Declan Rice, they've become a much better side. Liverpool, we spoke about it before, they were doing well, but they went out and bought Alisson, Van Dijk and Fabinho, and they were much better off for it. So we need to be, if we want to go and fight at the top of the league, we need to bring in these kind of players and make these kind of investments. And I just don't know if Daniel Levy is going to do that.
We'll have to work, but clearly he's willing to spend 40, 50, 60 million pounds on players, is my point. So if you're spending 65 million on players, like consistently, he's done it with Richarlison, 60 million. He did it with Solanke, he even did it with Ndombele, 60 million. So he's willing to put that investment, is my point. Like he's showing.
That's like kind of like the ceiling, isn't it? Are we ever going to go more than that?
I don't know, but my point is, I don't sit here and think if we don't spend more than 60 million on a player, then we're never going to challenge. Like I think 60 million is not a terrible ceiling.
I feel like we go for that kind of bracket of player, 40 to 60 million, rarely 60 million. We've got Richarlison, you've got Ndombele, and you've got Solanke, but I don't think we've ever, that's the only three players we spent in that ballpark figure, right? Everything else has been below that. So when you're signing, we're signing too many kids at the moment as well. And we needed players to come in the summer that were here and now players. And apart from Solanke, which players did we bring in for the here and now? And when you're talking about, Ange kept saying we need to, make the forward line, we need to improve the forward line massively. Apart from Solanke, did we really improve the forward line?
Apart from Solanke, did we really improve the forward line? No, probably not the front three. And yes, we could have done more. I'm not saying that, but I'm just saying the level of investment in the team, how much we're spending on players, and how many times we're spending big money on players. I don't think that's holding us back at the moment. Yes, you could look at the squad. There's a hole there, there's a hole here, 100%. And I'm not saying we don't need more or we're the perfect team. I'm just saying the level of investment should be adequate for us to really kick on and challenge.
Yeah, but we're not kicking on and challenging.
But that's not due to the level of investment.
It might not be to the level of money that we're spending, but it's due to where they're at in their careers of players that we're signing, like Archie Gray, Lucas Bergvall. Yeah, they're going to be big players for us in the future, but are they going to bridge that gap right here, right now? Probably not.
Maybe not, but that's a smart thing to do. You need to.
You need both, though, don't you?
And do we not have good players for the here and now?
Not to, Ange says he wants to fight for the title. We don't have that.
No, but we still have good players.
Yeah, but we don't have players that can. We got players for just about a top 4 challenge. We don't have anything further than that.
Probably not, but we never expected that this season.
But if you're spending the amount of money that we're spending, surely you'd expect to be starting a title challenge.
And with a couple more £50 million players, could we not do that?
It depends who they are.
Right, but I'm saying it depends who they are. But I'm saying. I'm saying with that level of investment, a couple £50 million, if they're the right players, if they cost a couple £50 million, that could maybe make the difference. Obviously, it depends who they are. But I'm saying my point is the level of investment, not who they're signing or anything. My point is the level of investment the owners are putting into the club right now, is that holding us back? I'm saying the money they're putting in, how much we're spending on players, I don't think that's currently holding us back. That's my point. Not about are they signing the right players, all this kind of stuff. I'm saying the current level of money they're putting in, I don't think that issue is holding us back right now.
But isn't it so much more than that, as opposed to just how much money that they're putting into the club?
Yes, and those things have been things we complained about. But I think as well, those things, recruitment, football management, all these things, they're also put into place with Man and Lange and all these different things. And the recruitment, I think, has been much improved. And we're signing a lot of younger players. Another thing we've complained about in the past, not looking for the future, not planning for the future with all these young players.
But it feels like it's either one way, like wholeheartedly one way, or wholeheartedly one way. Like, why can't we have like a really good mix? And I know we've got a little bit of a mix right now where we bring in Solanke, which is ready for the here and now, but Every other player we brought in the summer were 18-year-old, 19-year-olds. Like, we needed to bring in stuff much more for the here and now than we actually did. And I don't know whether it's a remit from Levy or from Lang or from Ange. I don't know who it is, but I don't think it was good enough. And we need to kick on. We need to kick on massively and bring in better quality in this football club. Paul Anger says Johan Lang is crap at his job.
Why? I think he's done all right, hasn't he? I mean, I guess again, you could say in the summer again we could have done more. But I really like who we've brought in, and I really think
wasn't last summer his first summer window.
Yeah,
wasn't the greatest window,
January
was it?
as well. Yeah, January Dragoshin brought in.
Yeah, I mean he's done okay. I don't think he's done unbelievably well.
I guess it depends what the remit was. Maybe he's done his job, but I think for him to be able to getting all these talented youngsters I think it's underestimated how important that is. It's very, very important, and it gives you planning for the future. It also gives you these hungry players looking to start their careers, looking to make an impression, looking to really battle. So I like what he's brought in. Obviously, Solanke was great,
but you just don't know when these players are actually going to be completely ready to start week in, week out. And that's what we need. We need players to come in that are ready to start week in, week out.
Oh, but we've got that.
But we need more. We need better quality.
But we've got good quality at the moment. It's
But
not
we need
like
better.
we're struggling.
We are struggling. We're 10th in the league.
No, I'm not saying like that. My point is, I'm not saying we're struggling. Like, I look at the squad and I think we've got a good squad. Like, we have a good squad. I know we're 10th in the league and the results, but we've spoke about the context of the season. We're playing well at the moment. Yes, we could be doing better. We don't have the best team in the league for sure, but we've got a very good team. Like, I don't see this team and think, oh, like I'm lost for how we're going to improve and stuff like that. We've got some really good players.
All right. The elite estimator says anyone who is critical of Ange and growing pains doesn't want an actual product. They just want magical instant results, which is only possible with buying big players, which we won't do. I mean, if you don't want magical instant results, then what do you want? Of course, everyone wants magical instant results.
Come on, give me some magical instant results. I wouldn't mind that. Anyone's critical doesn't want an actual project. Look, I disagree. I think there are things that are valid to be critical of, even within the project. Obviously, you have to understand when you have a manager like Ange, and he's obviously trying to develop something, there will be, mistakes made, and there will be bad results and sometimes inconsistency at the start. Doesn't mean along the way you can see something that's wrong and call it out because you think it's wrong, but also doesn't mean just because you're right about that being wrong doesn't mean that Ange is bad, if you know what I mean. Doesn't mean he can't fix that problem. It doesn't mean that things can't improve just because they're bad now or something's wrong at the time. Doesn't mean those things can't change and can't improve. So, I think you can criticize Ange, but I think saying being critical of someone but also saying this can't be fixed is something else.
I hate this whole narrative. Like, if you're critical about something, you want him out. Like,
No,
if you wanna criticize Ange, that means you're Ange out. I mean, it's all bollocks. Like, you can criticize Ange, but still want him in the job and can see the progression that they've made from the last season. So, as much as you can be critical about a player or a staff member or a manager or whatever, it doesn't mean you all of a sudden want them out and they're at a dead end, right?
Exactly.
And I think that's where we're at with this. Yido90 says Romero is overrated and our most protected player from criticism.
I think plenty of people criticise him, don't they? I would say so. I don't think he's protected. He's overrated. I think he's a great centre back. I think he's overrated. What? Overrated in how he plays for Tottenham. I mean, maybe you can make the argument because for Tottenham, he's not as good as he is for Argentina. That's probably true, just because of the defensive record of Argentina is absolutely ridiculous, and unfortunately, our defensive record is not like that. And he doesn't. I don't see him making as many mistakes. But then again, I feel like he has to do a lot more one-on-one defending for Tottenham than he does for Argentina, and the structure in Argentina is very different. He's a bit more protected from the midfield and stuff like that. And for Tottenham, we play with a lot of risk, and there's a lot more space, and he has to cover a lot more space, and he has to do a lot more different stuff. So, is he overrated? It depends how highly we rate him. I think a lot of people say he's one of the best centre backs in the league. I would probably agree with that. Is he better than Saliba? Is he better than Van Dijk? Probably not. Definitely not, I would say, at the moment anyway, unless he gets his consistency. But I still think he's up there, in my opinion. So
where does he rank in centre backs in the league for you? Like, who's better than him? So you've given me the two, Van Dijk and Saliba.
Diaz,
Gabriel.
at the moment, yeah. Have to unfortunately say
So that's fifth at the moment. Anyone else better than him?
Would you say Konate's better than him? But Konate makes a lot of mistakes. I mean, a few mistakes as well. But I think at Konate is pretty good. I do like Konate. But I think at their best, they're very comparable. I'll probably shake side of Romero at his best, to be honest. Who else do you got? I mean, you can say like Botman, but I'll probably prefer Romero to Botman, but he's been injured a lot. Villa centre back. I like Pau Torres a lot, but I like Pau Torres. But
Romero's better than Pau Torres.
I still think Romero, as much as I like him. Guehi, I prefer Romero. Stones, but he's injured a lot. Stones, who plays in midfield now for City a lot. But you got people like Akanji, Ake. Do you put them ahead of Romero? You could argue they may be more consistent, but again, at their best, are they better than Romero?
But they're also in more of a settled team as well. So it's hard. It's hard to kind of compare these players when some are in settled teams, some are in not. Romero's not. So, and I also think the system kind of I do think Romero's suited to it, but I think Man City's system is more suited to Akanji and Ake than maybe Romero's is for us.
Maybe. Potentially, I don't know.
Bradley says, the most talented keeper Spurs have had in the Premier League era was Gomez. He's just a period where he lost confidence and made some mistakes which masked how good he was. I mean, he had those couple of seasons with Gomez, but you just never knew what kind of Gomez would turn up on game day. Like, sometimes he'd be brilliant.
In terms of like pure talent, just goalkeeping talent, natural talent, I don't know, it's not a bad shout.
Who was a better shot stopper, Gomez or Vicario?
Or Lloris. Lloris was a phenomenal reaction.
Lloris, when he was at the top.
Yeah, he was phenomenal as well. Some of his reflex. I still think Lloris is probably. I think Lloris had the best reflexes. I actually think Lloris still made a few more handling mistakes than I've seen from Vicario. In terms of like, there are shots where you just expect him to save, and like Lloris was amazing at making like unbelievable saves. But there was sometimes like a shot you just expect him to save and he'll somehow squirm in. I haven't seen that from Vicario.
But also you're comparing like 10 years to 1 year.
That's also true. But I haven't. But I think when it comes to like, wow, how's he made that save kind of save? I would say probably the rank would be like. Lloris made probably the most. Probably Gomez would make a lot of those saves, and then Vicario. But when it comes to like pure goals being conceded, where you're like, he should have done better there, kind of thing. Obviously, I think Gomez is bottom of that. Then it's probably Lloris, and then I think Vicario is top. I think he very rarely concedes goal like that, where you think like, should have.
I can't remember
there.
one, to be honest.
Very rare. Whereas Lloris, there'll sometimes be a case where you're like, you probably should have saved that kind of thing, and I don't see that much from Vicario. But obviously, for Gomez, there was a lot. As much as he made, there was just some sense where his arms, he was called the octopus for a reason. He literally, somehow, like a tentacle would come out from his back and somehow he'd stop it going top corner. You'd think, how the hell has he done that? But I think those would usually be like from
But then he'd give away
efforts.
2 penalties in the space of 5 minutes.
Yeah, true. Yeah.
Spurs Kings TV, big up Ashwell Marlin, not sure which one it is, but they are big Spence enthusiasts, and he says Spence probably is the best fullback to play inverted and role, as his attributes are more suited to the role. Do you think his attributes are more suited to the role as opposed to like Porro and Udogie?
I wouldn't necessarily say that. He's adapted better than I thought he'd adapt. That's for sure. Because I didn't think of him as a player in between, like in the middle of the park, who could actually, be quite nimble. And he's adjusted to that quite well. Is he the best fullback to play the inverted role? I still think Porro is probably better than him. I think Porro is probably the most suited to it. So the question for me is he more suited to the Udogie to play the inverted role? I mean, I haven't seen evidence that he's more suited to it than Udogie, to be honest. As much as people have their complaints about Udogie sometimes in that role, does he like to be on the outside a bit more? But have I seen evidence yet to suggest that Spence is more suited than Udogie? I haven't seen that.
But we have made adjustments to get Udogie on the outside a bit more in recent games. I think Spence is a very good fullback, and I do think we need to be using him a bit more than we are. That's just what I would say. And last but not least, Shawsey says Pape Sarr is overrated.
Shawsey, why? I like Pape Sarr. He's not.
Pape Sarr, though, last season,
overrated.
at the end of last season, or maybe midway through last season, we were saying he's the best young midfielder in the Premier League.
Yeah.
Now, with the start of the season he's had, yes, it's been a bit better in recent weeks. Are we still saying he's the best young midfielder in the Premier League?
Maybe not the best, but he's still one of the best. You got to remember, he's still, what, 22? He's still
Yeah.
very young. And last season was his first season playing
I love
consistently.
Pape.
I think he's got so much to grow, and I think he's got so much, he can be so much better. So I'm still very excited about him. Obviously, to be the problem that we've, Spurs fans, again, when we talk about PTSD, in a weird way, because we've had like Skip and Winks, right, who had so much promise and they never really fulfilled it, or they never got to the heights we hoped they would hit. Whenever we see a young midfielder, like, because obviously right at the beginning of their careers, Winks and Skip, a lot of talk was being about them. You've got to remember, whatever you want to say about Winks, early on he was playing for England.
Miniesta.
Yeah, Miniesta, like he was playing, remember that game against Real Madrid, like where he played? He was unbelievable, right? And then obviously he never really fulfilled. Again, Skip, talking about future captain, he went on loan to Norwich. He was best player, one of the best midfielders of the Championship. Like he was under Nuno early on, like brilliant, right? And so there's a lot of people talking him up, and then again, never really got to those heights through injury or whatever. So obviously, when we talk up Salah like we did last year, and then all of a sudden this season he's not as good and he's
Can have
being
ups and
consistent.
downs as a young
exactly,
player.
but then people like who's it, Shawsey will say, oh, he's overrated because he's thinking about probably Skip and Winks, thinking we all said the same things about them, right? And how good they are, and they never filled. So maybe Sar's the same. But I believe Sar's going to go in a different direction.
I kind of feel like Sar, you're going to see the best of Sar maybe with our next manager, because I'm not sure on a consistent basis where he's going to fit into this midfield, because I don't think he's a 6. I think he's a box-to-box 8. And with Kulusevski or Maddison playing that role at the moment, more Maddison to be honest in the 8 than Kulusevski, is Sarr going to get the minutes that he needs to really kick on under Ange? I kind of question that.
Yeah, I think he will get a lot of minutes, to be honest, but because, look, they're going to have to be rotated at some point, those midfielders, and obviously he's going to get a lot of Europa League time. So I do think he'll get minutes, but it's on him to really show that improvement. It needs to get to earn those minutes in the Premier League, because at the moment, Decky and Maddison together, they're just providing such a great dynamic and so something really good for the team. And as much as I love Sarr, if he can't impact the game in the same way they are, then why should he be in the team? That's the reality.
He's just not that player, though. He's not Kulusevski. He's not a Maddison. He's not.
But he has to impact it in his own way. But he has to impact it as much. I'm not saying he has to be as good as them in those.
He can't impact it in an attacking perspective like anywhere near they can.
Or maybe he has to win the ball double as much as they do or something. Well, not maybe double as much. But I'm just saying he has to. At the moment, he's not impacting games as much as they are. And
albeit 2 goals and an assist in his last 3 games.
Yeah, true. And maybe if he keeps up that kind of thing, he can. But he has to. If he has to do it in his own way, he obviously can't dribble like Decky and be as press resistant as Decky and stuff like that, or be as creative as Maddison. But he has to do it in his own way, with his own skill set. Does that mean covering double the amount of ground they cover, or whatever it is, or But yeah, if he can't, but I'm not saying he has to be as good as them in what they're good at, but he has to impact the game in his own way as much as they are. And if he can't do that, he won't be in the team.
All right, so there you have it. That is our unpopular opinions. I hope you enjoyed those, guys.
Come on.
If we could take off the phone layer for a second, I actually just did see something pop up that maybe we can add to the Tottenham update. Where is it? Here we go. Builder actually reporting that Tottenham are amongst the clubs who are scouting Dortmund winger Jamie Gittins.
I would like that. He's been class. For them.
He's looking good this season, isn't he?
He's English, isn't he, Gittins? Yeah, he's English. So this season, 2 goals, 1 assist, 2 goals in the Champions League. I think, they're both against Celtic? They won 7-2.
Yeah.
He's still how old? He's only just turned 20. Last season, 5 goal contributions as an 18-year-old. Season before that, 4 goal contributions. I've been really excited whenever I've seen him, and I think he's a really tricky winger, a lot of pace, can play on the right or the left as well. Obviously, he's also could fit the homegrown whatever. So obviously, he's someone we'll probably be keeping an eye on. I don't playing for a team like Dortmund, where you think you could maybe sign him from them. I think he's
another
a very
player
exciting
from the Man City academy.
Oh, another one from the Man City academy. I mean, they're gold dust.
Literally.
So I think you'd be stupid not to look at him. And he's a really exciting player. But he's still obviously very young, but very exciting prospect, that's for sure.
All right, let's move on and let's talk and let's go into reacting to comments from YouTube. So what we got?
YouTube. Let me get them up. So this is a lot of it surrounding the game against Brighton. A lot of it was around that time. But let's 1 sec. Is he sizing up? Yeah. All right. YouTube comments. Just getting them up. What are people saying in the comments here? Sarr not good enough. Same about Suma. Sarr hasn't been good, but he's a type of player who will contribute for the team. Janko says, we need quality, Sim. Sarr isn't quality. I think he is quality. He can be quality. He's still so young. Players get judged so early. I think he's shown he's got quality. Just, he's a young player. Just needs to show a bit more consistently.
Should we get into the comments?
I'm ready. Do I have to bring it up? All right, so the first one from Bird's Eye Studios. He says, we needed this to be more on to the next level. Sorry, we needed this to move on to the next level. I think he's talking about the game against Brighton, the win. The signs are still there. The players just need to grow up and learn that you need more than just good football. You need to resolve, fight, and mentality. This should wake them up. I guess, look, as much as it was a terrible second half and result, is there any thought process that this could be a learning curve for Tottenham? Because this is a new problem we haven't had in terms of being 2-0 up and getting complacent and giving up like we did. So maybe it's a process that we needed to go through to learn from.
Yeah, I kind of feel like now it's happened. It has to be. There's no other option. But obviously, in the way it happened, the mentality and the attitude that those players showed in the second half was nothing short of disgraceful. Let's be real. It was unacceptable the way we handled ourselves in that second half. So the only way we can move forward is if we do use it as a learning curve. So it has to be that.
But maybe if we do learn from it, we could look back at that game and think that could be maybe not a turning point, but one of the big lessons we learned that really turned a corner in some way.
I hope so.
Jack Garrity 5841 says, I've compared the results so far this season to the same fixtures last season. I subbed Leicester away for Luton away, which we won 1-0. This season, scored 14, conceded 8, 10 points. Last season, scored 12, conceded 16, 10 points. This season, we've had a lot of fixtures which we struggled last season. We have struggled less, scoring more and conceding half as much, and have been unlucky, in my opinion, to not have more points. This frustration is unfortunately what improvement feels like. At least we are frustrated with these nearly results than cold and empty with demolitions we sat through last season. Come on, you Spurs? ?
I do agree to a certain extent, because if you take the Leicester game, we should have won that, but we didn't. In Luton, we just about got over the line with 10 men. The Everton game was much more comprehensive than the Everton game at home last season, much more. Newcastle away was probably our best performance at Newcastle for a good few years now.
Lost 4-0 there last year, battered.
And 6-1 the year before.
And this year we actually should have won, let alone,
Arsenal, we had a lot of... it was a very similar game, wasn't it? It's just that they didn't score multiple set pieces.
Yeah, which is improvement, I
guess. Yeah. I do think every game, bar maybe the Leicester and Luton game, it has been an improvement of last season. At Old Trafford, we drew 2-2 there last year. We won 3-0 there this year.
Much more confident.
Brighton, we were 4-0 down in that game. And we were 2-0 up in this game.
A different problem to last season. So when you take game for game, there's probably been improvements. Unfortunately, results-wise, it's the same, 10 points, because we just sub in. We drew with Leicester and beat Luton, but with United we drew last season. So we sub in those results. But what's going to be interesting is the next few weeks. We got West Ham at home, which we lost. We've got Villa at home, which we lost. So there is actually a chance to gather some points, which we didn't last season.
Yeah,
over the next
we've got Man
games.
City at home in the Cup, which we lost as well, and Palace away, which we won last year.
We did beat Palace away 2-1. So. But still, so a chance to maybe gain some points on last season.
Yeah, I think so. Games. It's a big opportunity these next few weeks. Sunshine on Spurs says, I think people are looking into more than they need to.
I think he's talking about Ange's comment here. What I took from Ange's substitution comment simply meant we can't make 11 subs. That's what he thinks Ange was trying to say with that sub comment.
Yeah, I get that, but on the flip side, you have to do something to try and stem the tide and kind of swing the momentum back in our favour. Like, there were players on there that were struggling on the pitch where we had replacements for. You can't change 11. We don't have replacements for everyone on the pitch, and we didn't have attacking changes to go and kind of swing the game in our favour. But you could have made changes in that midfield to stop that gaping hole that we had in the middle of the park. And you could have and probably should have taken a doggy out the firing line as well, who was clearly struggling. So at 2-2, I probably would have brought on Bissouma and Spence. That's probably the two subs I would have made.
Yeah, and I get what he's trying to say. Who do you sub off? Everyone was playing bad, but but sometimes a couple of substitutions just puts new energy to the team and it shakes things up a bit. Just keeping it the same, like, it's not going to change anything.
Yeah.
Almost everything is a lie. Bloody hell. He says Udogie is a shell of himself from before the quad tear. Was responsible for the loss and many other goals this season. Ange is at fault for not recognising it and pulling him off. Spence should start the next couple of league games with Udogie getting back up to speed in Europe versus lesser competition.
I think it's very unfair on Udogie because everyone's kind of taking this performance at Brighton and being like, this is where he's at the moment. But it's not, because I can't remember the game that it really clicked for him. I think it was a 45 against Coventry. But since the 45 against Coventry till the recent injury, I think he's been brilliant.
Yeah, I think that there were signs before his injury against... who did he get injured against? He was at United, yeah. Before that injury, even in that game, there were signs of him really getting back to his best and signs of him getting back to his levels of last season. Now, he got the injury and then obviously second half against Brighton, he wasn't good, granted. But I think people are going in on him way too hard and saying that he's finished, overrated, all that kind of stuff, because it's just one half from actually the last 5 games. There were signs of not only him playing well, but actually getting back to his best performances. So... no, I don't agree with that.
I'm going to say, if you look at this, the Coventry away, I thought he was brilliant. Brentford at home, I thought he was brilliant that day. Karabag.
He came on and was very good, again with 10 men.
Against who?
Karabag. He came on, didn't he?
Oh, yeah, he came on right at the start of the game, yeah. So he played 79 minutes that game. I thought he was very good. Man United, before he went off injured, I thought he was very good as well.
One of our best players in that.
So when you're talking about his recent form, Brighton aside, I think he's been brilliant.
Yeah, agreed. So almost everything is a lie. I think that is a lie. The Count of Monte Cristo, Jesus, he says, everyone was crowing about the sudden upswing in form, but few seemed willing to consider that this upswing came off the back of beating some very average opposition League Cup. When we faced a decent side, the team capitulates. Similar experiences last season, every point to the great start to season, but few consider that it was stacked heavily in our favour. Very soft first half of the season, and then when the rubber met the road in the second half, the wheels came off. Of course, many points to the injuries, but even when Maddison and Etel returned, the team couldn't find any form. The trend is clear. These players aren't good enough, for one, and secondly, more importantly, Ange isn't good enough to navigate the challenges of the Premier League. His dogmatism and total disregard for defending, both in general play and set pieces, will be his undoing. Goodbye, Ange.
I don't think he has a disregard for defending, though. I think it's a myth, this whole disregard for defending with Ange. If he had a total disregard for defending, we would be conceding goals left, right and centre. I don't think we are doing that at the moment.
Yeah, I think defensively, look, again, people have to try and understand how we try to play. I do think when we get into stages of the game, like we were in the second half of Brighton or wherever, there are some stages where we need to be a bit more organised. We're getting penned in. The opposition are gaining a bit of momentum and control, and we have to, settle in and be a compact defence. I do think there's a lot of problems there, and we're not good in those stages of the game. But people understand is how we play and how Ange wants us to play is we very, very rarely, if ever, get into those stages of the game, and it's very rare that, or it doesn't happen very often, that we get into a stage where we're not dominating possession and we're not forcing the opposition back and we're not pressing them high and rushing them and suffocating them. And I think in general this season that has been the state of the game, and that's how we try to keep it in that state. And that's how we try to defend. And when we are in those states, teams do struggle to create chances and they struggle to get through. So that's how we try to defend. That's a risk versus reward. Now, you could argue he should do more training on when we do go in those states, being more compact and being more resolute. And that's probably a fair criticism. But he's at the moment working on just keeping Tottenham in the state of the game where they're in control for as much of the game as possible, and that's what he's working on at the moment. And yes, we're maybe not striking the balance right, but that's people got to realise that's what he's doing.
But I also feel like it comes down to player mentality as well, because when we get in those states and like the players just become so erratic, they kind of just lose all sense of composure on that football pitch.
But I think that's a lot to do with how we play.
Could be. I think it is. There is an element of that.
We're always 100% going for it, intense all the time, every phase of the play. That's just how we are. We're going to be intense. We're going to be aggressive. There's like no kind of calmness a lot of the time, and it works a lot. But sometimes it goes against you, and maybe that's a balance. Maybe we have to work. That's when we have to work on. But doesn't mean, and it could be a problem. But is that something that's just always going to be like that? I mean, in terms of like we're always going to be this just. I think that's my point. We're improving on controlling the games and being in the game state that we want to be in, and we're improving on being in that state more than we were last season. But it doesn't mean that we're this perfect team yet. We're not.
If those kind of moments are always going to be there, then are we ever going to be a title challenging team under Ange? Because when we play the good teams, they're always going to have those moments in games, always. So are we ever going to consistently be able to beat the good teams?
Are we ever going to be able to consistently beat the good teams playing this way? At the moment, it's hard to say yes because we haven't seen evidence of it. But what I have seen evidence is when we do come up against good teams, you can see where the game could be won and where we've lost the game. And I think if we just improve on some of the things where we could have won the game on, which I can see where that improvement can be had, I think we can consistently beat them. But can we challenge for the league and stuff like that? I mean, I'd be deluded if I said yes. That's the reality. But why? But it's.
So is Ange deluded then to think that we can?
No, because he knows more than me. So he sees a way we can do it. I wouldn't call him deluded, but I mean, we've tried all these different ways. But could we win leagues playing the way Mourinho and Conte played? I mean, we couldn't when he was at us, but
we didn't have the players.
Exactly. Does that mean that way of playing though is like, yeah, I would say the Ange's way of playing, you can do it if you have, maybe a few better players. But
I kind of feel like if we had Conte right now with these sets of players, then he can probably get us finishing higher than what Ange can.
Maybe. Would it all blow up with Conte? I don't know. Maybe
always blows up for Conte. But if you look at a Conte team right now with the players that we've got, you've got the back three of Draghin, Romero, Van der Ven. We're brilliant. Look, what did he have when he was at us? Dyer, Longley, and Sanchez or whatever it was. Right wing back Porro, left wing back Udogie, who would be brilliant in those areas. You've got you'd probably have a midfield two.
You probably play if you played a three of Madison, Deki, Kulusevski, and a front two of Son and Solanke, 5-3-2.
That would be a great Conte team.
Oof, that would be tough to beat.
It's like we're always building players for our previous managers. When are we going to build a team for the manager here and now?
I think we've got a good team for the manager here and now. I think we've got a good team. Is it good enough to win the league? I don't think so, but it's a good team.
I reckon Conte could actually win the league with that team.
I mean, it'd be interesting to see. You saw what he did in that when he first came in with the squad we had. Well, then again, he had Kane. The ZUJ, whatever that, the ZUJ, he says, 31-year-old kid do better than what you do. Fabian changes style and tactics right away. He won because he was flexible. You lost because of your arrogance. Spurs play a game every 4 days. Your players are not robots. Whether they play or not, they ride a plane and a bus for hours. When your team is going down, you don't do shit with clueless with a clueless face, not making fast subs. Players ask for management, then you blame on players. Shame on you. Going in hard on Ange.
I think that, we'll read the first line again.
31-year-old kid could do better than what you do. Fabian changes style and tactics right away. He won because he was flexible and you lost because of your arrogance.
I don't know if we... I mean, there is a bit of a case to that. Like, there's got to be a way that if your plan isn't working, that you're able to switch it up and do something. It can't just be one way and that's it. And when it's not working, you just keep persisting with it. There has to be some sort of flexibility in the way we play. There has to be. There's no other option. There's no other way. Because if you're struggling in games, you're not going to come out of that struggle with playing the same way because teams have figured you out. So, like, how are you supposed to stem the tide?
You have to. Well, last season he went to a back three sometimes, didn't he? We haven't seen that.
We were poor every time we played the back three.
Yeah, true.
Last season.
Maybe that's why he hasn't done it. Bubble3633 says, I don't mind us coming out and playing badly for 5 minutes, but surely Ange had to change it up, give us more players in the middle, and lose them and lose the completely ineffective Werner in the second half. But we have to suffer half an hour of that before we finally make a substitution on 78 minutes. It's okay to stick to your principles, but you've got to use your resources to help the team. Yeah, I agree with that. And he should have changed things earlier. I think we've gone over that, but yeah, I mean, I agree. I think it's a fair comment. He should have changed things when he saw things were really going against him. And we have tools on the bench, and he should have used them.
Yeah.
Luis Figo, sure it's the legend himself. He says Ange is the Australian Bielsa. The idea that Spurs will never take 10 minutes to sit in and defend is so crazy. Good and great teams will take 10 minutes breaks, especially with the lead to kill the game and counter. That is true, and we've seen that with great teams. Arsenal, Man City, they always do go through those periods. Liverpool, even at their best, had to go through those periods. And that's something we should have to go through. At the moment, we don't, or we're not very good at it when we do. And that's something Ange is definitely... Look, if we're going to be a team that's really challenging for titles and stuff like that, then we're going to have to develop that side of the game. That's true. And we're not doing that at the moment. But doesn't mean that will never happen. Yeah.
I mean, you got to believe that anyway.
Yeah, exactly. But at the moment, it's not happening. So that's something he has to develop for sure. And lastly, LKRP2PW, he says, for me, the worrying thing is the lack of leadership when things aren't going our way. A lot of them were hiding from the ball and didn't want to fight. And just stood with his arms folded as a 31-year-old outclassed him. Very poor day.
Yeah, it's something that's been spoken about a lot.
Leadership's been a big conversation recently.
Yeah, it's been spoken about a lot since the game against Brighton. And I think people do have some points. But again, like, a lot of people come out with the thing saying, where's the John Terrys and the Patrick Vieiras and the Roy Keanes and all these kind of guys? I mean, but that style of leadership is not prevalent anymore in this game, particularly in the Premier League. Like, who could you say as a captain or as a leader leads by in that sort of way? I can't think of many.
Yeah, the leadership's a very different kind of thing in this day and age. And do we have those kind of leaders? I mean, look, it's so very easy to say after a loss and the manner of loss, that's it, there's no leadership in this group and blah, blah, blah. But the guys we have as part of our leadership group, we only formed this new leadership group anyway last season. These guys are now the leaders in the group. These guys weren't the leaders in the group the season before last. It was Kane, it was Højbjerg, it was Dyer, it was Lloris, it was all these guys. Even Sonner, was he in the leadership group? I don't even know if he was.
Pretty sure
before.
he was.
Was he in the leadership group before?
Must have been.
No, it was Son, Højbjerg, Dyer, Lloris. I think it was those guys. And Skip. I don't think was Son in there?
How could have Skip been there ahead of Son?
Because Skip was representing the younger guys, I think, wasn't he, or something? I can't remember.
Was Son not in the leadership team? I'm sure he was.
Maybe
he must have been.
He must have been. Anyway, apart from Son then, like the other guys, this is kind of a new role. And maybe they need to do more, for sure. Does it mean that they can't develop into those leaders? Just because you're not that leader right now on the 11th of October, does that mean you'll never be that leader? I don't believe that. I don't think that's true. And yes, they could be doing more in those situations, and maybe they'll learn from that second half about how their lack of leadership hurt the team. But does that mean going forward that those lack of leadership qualities are always going to be there. I don't necessarily think that's true. I don't necessarily think that necessarily means they will become those leaders either. But I think at the moment, people are just saying there's no leadership, and they'll never be those leaders. I think there's a lot of leadership potential in this team. And I still think we just need be a bit more patient.
You know who I think has got big leadership potential that isn't part of the leadership group is Kulusevski. I feel like he should be part of the leadership group, and I'm not sure if it was a good move to put Maddison in that leadership group like straight after he signed. Like, why? Like, surely you got to earn the right.
Yeah, I kind of agree with that, and I was surprised at the time. Obviously, when they decided to, you probably feel like, he must have, made a big impression early on, or maybe that was like, because he's actually one of the more senior players in the team now, isn't he? 27?
Yeah.
He's one of the. That's probably why they.
You got to earn the right to be there.
I always feel like when a club sign a player, they make him captain straight away. It's a bit of a weird move. Like, you have to earn the respect of the team, the group, to become that leader, become that captain. And even if it takes like 6 months and then you become captain, that's fair enough. But to do it straight away, I never really like that. I'm not saying because of that he was a mistake and Maddison doesn't have the respect of the group. I'm sure he does. But looking at Kulusevski now, like. He must be looking at not being the leadership group. Maddison is thinking, my mentality, and I've been part of this team longer, and why aren't I there? Maybe he's thinking, he might not be, but I can understand if he was thinking that.
Yeah. Who would your leadership group be? 4 players that should be the leadership group for you.
I think probably. Yeah, I think Romero for the back line. Well, Vicario, Romero. I think I like the leadership group we have now. Maybe sort of Maddison with Kulusevski, or maybe Bentancur, but probably Kulusevski because I really like the way he speaks. But apart from that, I don't see a problem with who our leaders are, to be honest.
I don't know. I don't know if Romero should be in the leadership group. Just not sure about it. I have my questions because
I think he should be.
For what though?
Because that's the kind of player he is. He should be our leader at the back anyway. I know he's making a few mistakes at the moment, but
it's not just the mistakes though with Romero. You've seen it time and time again throughout his Spurs career. Like, when things aren't going well, he's not that player to really, grab players by the scruff of the neck and get them to improve. He goes missing and goes hiding, and that's not what you want from a leader.
I think that has happened, but for what I see from Argentina, I think he shows a lot of leadership material. I think he's captained Argentina a few times. Like, I think if we want him to step up into that role, I think giving him that responsibility was a good thing. I think at times last season he showed that he was really good with that responsibility. Yeah,
it's too up and down though, isn't it?
Maybe, but I think we'll give it. I know he hasn't shown it, but I think that responsibility, in theory, should really help him gather those qualities, which I think he has. And I think he has those qualities to be a leader. So I'm banking on the fact that I know maybe he hasn't shown it enough, or we'll maybe want him to show it more, even though he has shown it on sometimes. But I think Romero is someone who could be a leader of that back line. I really believe that. So I don't have a problem with him being in that leadership group.
I think for me, the leadership group should be Vicario, Son, Dekian, and Bentancur.
And Bentancur.
That's who I would have as the 4.
I like the thought of Bentancur being there as well, to be honest.
So that's it. I think those are us reacting to the comments. Let us know your thoughts in the comments section below. Now, I was about to bring up a game of Spurs Bingo with you guys, but it looks like it's been taken off the website.
What? No.
Yeah. Spurs Bingo is gone. And they've added a new one called Iconic Retired Worldwide Players.
Why have they done that? Let's see.
Can you see it on yours?
That is a shocker.
Everyone tweet them and say say where is the Tottenham Bingo?
Do we have them on?
I speak to them on DMs on Twitter, so maybe I can get back in. But Tottenham Bingo seems to have gone.
It did say like it's a beta, so maybe they're bringing out the full version or something. I don't know. I don't know how much more full it can be, but yeah, it's not there anymore. No more Tottenham Bingo, guys. That's gutting.
Who wants to play a Premier League version?
R.I.P.
It's gone for the international break, as someone says. If you go,
bring back Tottenham Bingo or Uriah, I think.
need to straighten that up on the phone.
Gutting. Bingo rescinded.
So we got global, icons, and Premier League. I say we have 3 games, one of each. Premier League, icons, and global. I've never played icons before.
Yeah, icons is new. I'm up for a game of icons.
We'll start off with icons. There is the link. There is the code. There is the QR code. So if you want to put the link in the live chat, this is a game of icons bingo, people. We're going to have 3 games of bingo, 1 icons version, 1 Premier League version, and 1 global version.
Just pin to the chat now if you want to click the link and get involved. Come on, let's have a big bingo game, guys. Everyone join.
Trying to see what their Twitter account is. Everyone tweet them.
Yeah, everyone at, what was it, at Tiki Taka?
Play football.
Joel
It's
Matip
this.
has decided to retire.
Has he?
Yeah, very sad.
Their handle is _footballgames_.
Everyone out them saying, "Where's the Tottenham Bingo? We want answers." Don't send abuse though.
No
That's
abuse.
important. That's important to know. I don't want them getting upset. I just want to know where the Tottenham Bingo is.
That's their X account. Everyone go and tweet them saying, where the hell is this Tottenham Bingo? Oh, I forgot to click the names.
Oh, so it's fake names.
It's fake names.
Oh, I don't know who I am then.
Shall I restart it? I'm going to restart it, guys.
Sorry, guys. Full start.
That's the updated one. I'm just going to be back in 1 sec.
Here's the new link. Hi Daniel, how are you? Semenyo, Roger Fernandez and Jonathan David signed for Newcastle United. That'll be good signings for Newcastle, I think. So I hope they don't do them. So Sim always wins bingo. He must bet in real life as well. I do the odd flutter. Can't deny. People saying we should sell Romero after 5 bad games. Come on, guys. Let's back him. I know he's made some mistakes, and because there's this narrative that, you know, he's wanted to go to Madrid and all this stuff, people get things in their mind and they create false narratives. Always his head's out the door, all this kind of stuff. I think he's a great player. I think he's committed to Tottenham, and I think we just got to calm down with him. Yes, he made a lot of mistakes. You got to remember, he hasn't had a lot of break from football for a while. No, like he had the World Cup and then he had the Copa America. Literally no breaks in summer breaks. He's playing so much football, and maybe he needs to just come out the firing line for a rest. But I think putting him into question, you've got he's questioning his commitment to Spurs. I think people just got to calm down, all that stuff. Odobert doesn't have the aura. Why not? He's got plenty of aura. Just let him not make a couple of players, and let's talk about aura. Do Spurs rotate?
Right, 20 people in. Come on.
Come on, let's go. More.
Where's Daigle?
He's slacking.
I saw him in here earlier.
Oh, yeah?
All right. No one's joined for a little bit. Sean Slater.
Oh, here we go.
Sammy's in. Brian Daigle has entered the chat, people.
But has he entered the game? That's the crucial thing. He has entered the game.
Has he?
He is.
This is a Icons game, Brian, the first of its kind on
No.
live here on We Are Tottenham TV.
There is no Tottenham bingo, Brian, if you've heard the news.
Tottenham bingo has been wiped from the website. All right, we're going to give it
Levy's fault.
another minute. If no one's joined, then we're going to hit the start button. We've got 22 people in here with us. At 42 minutes past, we're going to press the button.
Come on, everyone get involved in the icons.
Twenty-three people.
Invert the wing. Surely it's not the guy. Could be. Why not? I guess.
Who's invert the wing?
Who are you? Come on, I know it's not you, is it? I don't really know who he is. It could be.
Brian Daigle. Ben, I'm almost up to date on Power. Haven't seen it. I've got about four episodes to catch up on. I'm sure I'll have time tonight to watch that. All right, 42 minutes. I'm going to press the button, guys. I'm going to give you 5 seconds to join. If you haven't joined, you can make it into the next game. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Let's go. Icons bingo, people.
All right, Gonzalo. God. Oh, yeah, there you go. Oh, no. Yeah, he must have.
Lichtsteiner. Denilson.
This is hard. Denilson. Did Denilson win that? Oh, he's go there. Thomas Rosicki. God, this is tough. Oh, I just skipped one by accident.
Willie Caballero.
Damien Duff.
Shinji Okazaki.
Paolo Rossi. Soldado. Phil Jones.
Soldado. Phil Jones.
Isaacson. Is he an icon? Amidal. Is it a teammate as well, international level? Don't know if that counts.
Dan
He was. I
Petrescu.
should have gone for it. PSV.
Holger Badstuber.
Pranich. Harry Speed.
Bernard Lamar. Remember that guy? Diego Milito. Blajakowski. Lucas Leiva.
No. Oh, screwed up there. Ravanelli. Crespo. Brian Laudrup. Graham Lasso. Sam Prosser, was he? Yeah, I think he might have been in that team. I might be wrong there. God, I might be wrong.
This is hard, man.
Skipped another one, so stupid.
I got 3 wrong. Wow, Daigle on top. Sim hasn't finished yet. Me and Daigle got the same marks, but he's done it in less. So I got Lichtsteiner, that won Serie A. Rossi was Italian. Ibrahim Afellay was Dutch. Abidal French. Badstuber Bayern Munich. Crespo played with Makelele. Delph played for Villa. Soldado Spanish. Duff played for Newcastle. Ballack German.
I don't know how well I've done on this one.
Denilson played for Flamengo. Zeraberto won Copa America. Laudrup played in Dutch top division.
They even played for Flamengo.
Did Phil Jones not win Champions League for Man U?
No.
Well, I got that wrong. And I got Lorik Cana, I thought played for Lille, and he didn't. So who have we got?
Ballon d'Or.
Might have been his brother.
I thought Leva played with Flamengo. I misclicked Melito and bloody Ribery. I thought Zambrotta played under Conte for Juve. It must have been after that. No, I didn't do very well.
Well, it looks as though Daigle is going to be the winner of the first round.
Icons. Tough, those icons.
All right. Where did Sammy come? Are you not finished yet? The Cough.
The Cough
is 3rd. Tom 81 in 4th. Sim not even in the top 4.
Yeah, it's not a good round. Not a good round.
Sammy came 4th above Sim.
You what? No, he didn't.
He did. He's right there.
What are you saying? Get out of here.
Sim's bottom in this room.
Get out of here, Sammy. Now we have to do another icons now.
Another icons. Sim's got that competitive streak.
That's it. I've had enough. I'm getting bingo.
All right. So Daigle is leading the charts. 1-0 to Daigle, people. He is the man to beat now. We'll go back to another icons game, but next we're going to play Global.
Global.
1-0 to Daigle. Everyone join, people.
Come on, everybody in. Come on.
I want to see more. I want to see more than 24, 23 people who we had last time. Have you guys been tweeting them? How do you see if someone's been tweeting? Let's see.
How many people got? 27. All right, people are getting involved. 28.
Got Sammy in there. The Cough. Sim. Better call Sim.
Better call Sim.
Daigle. Tom 81. 30 people. We're going to go straight in.
Oh, it's on now.
I was just putting the link in the bingo group.
Oh, I see.
All right, I'm going to press go. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And we're in.
And we're off. Play along at home.
Remember to use your skips, people. Piero Hincapié. Adrian Mutu. Frank Kessier. Forgot who was that. Milik. Beckham. Put him in PSG.
Samuel Eto'o. Bergwijn.
Mech says.
Just need a Dortmund player, I think. Come on.
Bingo.
Bingo and a global. Love that. Absolutely love that.
Oh, it's quick as well.
That was a really quick bingo. 47 as well played.
I need Benfica and Uruguay. Uruguay, Bentancur.
Benfica's a tough one, Benfica.
Did Julio Cesar play for Benfica? Lukovic. Taremi.
No.
Ah, Darwin. Ah,
Who's the only one you got wrong?
I had Fabinho playing for Roma. I thought he played for
came from
Roma.
Monaco. I had, that's one I'm most proud of. Walter Samuel played for Roma.
I had Walter Samuel that won Serie A.
I had Mutu for Juventus, Koke Spanish, Wijnaldum Dutch, Beckham English, Carlos World Cup winner, Malouda played with Nicolas Anelka, Henry won the Euros, Eto'o played for Chelsea, Seedorf Champions League, Fernandinho Brazilian, Alexis Sanchez Arsenal, Conor Gallagher played under Pochettino, Walter Samuel for Roma, Julian Brandt for Dortmund, Neto Portuguese, and Fabinho played in the Brazilian First Division.
Well, you might have got a bingo, but you don't take all the cake.
No, who? Like, who's Spurs 100? Who are you? How can you beat me? I just got bingo.
So I had Bruno Fernandes, Manchester United, Beckham, PSG, Seedorf, Champions League, Pedro Neto, Portuguese, Conor Gallagher played for Simeone, Henry in the MLS, Abidal played with Fabregas, Walter Samuel won the Serie A, Wijnaldum, Netherlands, Balotelli, Italy, Bentancur, Uruguay, Del Piero, top goal scorer in the Serie A,
Nice.
Koke, Spanish, Milik, Marseille, Nunez, Benfica, and then Fabinho and Roma are screwed up on.
Spurs 100 got bingo. Can't believe it. Cannot believe it. Where's Daigle?
7.
39. The Cough 39. Sean Slater 39. What happened to his run?
So 1 point to Daigle, 1 point.
Third bingo.
Wow, better call Sim.
Wow, better call Sim. 3 bingos. People are on fire here.
How many did we have in this?
33.
So that's it. 3 bingos, but Spurs 100 takes the point. 1 for Daigle, 1 for Spurs 100. Let's go and play the Premier League version. Here we go.
FIFA knowledge. So there's fish cakes.
$22 people straight in off the bat. Sammy, where'd you come in that one?
I don't remember.
No, of course not.
12? Something like
Jeez.
that. Too hasty.
Need to use a bit of pauser. 30 people in straight away. 32. Can we get to 40? All right. I'll give you 10 seconds, guys, to join, or I'm going to press start. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Let's go. Let's go, people. Jermaine Jenas. Jeffrey Schlupp. Buemo, just Sheffield United and Burnley.
I've got Sheffield United, Brighton, and Netherlands.
Oh, I got bingo, but I came second to Sean. God's sake. Second bingo in a row. Bloody hell, Sean. Blast you, Sean Slater.
Oh, this ain't looking good, people. Oh, did Nathan Patterson not play for Burnley?
Is there a third bingo again? Tottenham's trophy with a bingo. Wow.
So it's 1 point each.
I had
Sean Slater,
Yeah, Sean
Daigle, and the Spurs 100.
Duff got for Chelsea, Robin Olsen for Sweden, Fabregas World Cup winner, Risa Champions League winner, Dalot FA Cup winner, Van Dijk Dutch, James Garner Everton, Guedes Portugal, Paul Robinson for Burnley, Robbie Keane Irish, Lewis Boamorte for Arsenal, Luca Dean French, Andy Cole Man United, Gibbs White for Sheffield United, David Brooks Welsh, and Jermaine Genius for Aston Villa.
Well, I had Robbie Savage for Welsh, Luca Dean French, Gonçalo Guedes Portuguese, Verbruggen for Brighton, Shearer for top goal scorer, Van Dijk Premier League winner, Jermaine Genius for Forest, Darren Anderton for Bournemouth, Robbie Keane for Ireland, Damien Duff for Newcastle, Boamorte for Fulham, Dalot FA Cup winner, Tierney for Scotland, and Brian Dean for Sheffield United.
The level of bingo is definitely rising in this group, though, in this on this channel, because when we first started this, no one was getting above 40. Now we've got 4 people on 45. We've got 3 bingos. It's tough.
Everyone's playing in their spare time.
It's already all of a sudden it's very, very tough. You guys are catching up.
All right, we'll play one more game, one more Icons game, and then we'll leave it at that.
No one got a bingo on Icons, did they?
No.
It's time for that to change, boys. It's time for that to change.
Wow, we've been streaming for 2.5 hours, people.
$25 people in the game. Come on. Get involved.
Marlon Spurs Kings TV is in the house.
Right. Now the game starts.
Keep joining, people. We've got 28.
Oh, look who's joined, the bastard. These guys, he better not win this absolute Judas. Ugh.
Whoever joins as Judas' name, like, where'd you get off,
Honestly.
man?
Always has to do, and he always has to do well as well. Get his name on screen.
Well, we got to do especially well. Who won the icons last time? Was that Daigle?
There you go on the icons. It's because he's an older head, isn't it? His knowledge.
Yeah, showing his age. Rodney Trotter,
Alright, how many people we got?
29.
29. Come on. Is that it? No one else joining? We had 35 or something last time.
All right, I'm going to press go. So if anyone wants to join, you have to join now. This will be our last game.
Play now or forever hold your peace.
Got 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. 29. To be fair, you can still join after we press go. So
It does let you join.
all right, Marcus Babbel.
Babble.
Yossi Benayoun. Gareth Bale. Matthew Upson.
Juan Carlos Valeron.
Christophe Dugarry. I think I'm having a bit of a stinker here. I've got bloody played in the Belgian top league.
Just need a guy managed by Conte. Ah. Oh. No. Just seen who's top.
Is it him?
God's sake. Dugarry never played for PSG.
I'm all the way down in 6th.
And Christophe Dugarry never played for PSG.
Lucio never won Copa America.
Wow. And the other Laudrup never won the Ballon d'Or either. Who's that for West Ham you got wrong?
Lee Dixon.
Ah.
Just a shot in the dark. So I had Michael Laudrup, Danish. Luis Enrique played under Louis van Gaal. Dario Simic, Croatian. Bonucci played with Ronaldo. PK won the Euros. Kalinic played for Atletico Madrid. Klose, German. Peter Schmeichel played for Villa. Gattuso won Serie A. Julio Cesar, Brazilian. Giggs, Man United. Bale, Real Madrid. And Petit, French. I got Lucio winning the Copa America wrong. Dixon playing for West Ham wrong. And I couldn't find anyone that played in the Belgium top league.
I had Gattuso, Italian, Schmeichel, Danish, Diego Simeone winning the Italian First Division, Stephen Carr, Newcastle, Laudrup, Ballon d'Or again, but the other Laudrup, but it wasn't. Bonucci played under Conte, Ola Toivonen played for PSV, Jerome Roten is French, Julio Cesar, Brazilian, PK winning the Euros, Christophe Dugarry playing for PSG, which he never did. Christian Abbiati, teammate with Paolo Maldini. Martin Lawson for Villa. Kalinic, Croatian. Ruud Gullit played in the Dutch First Division. And Ledley King for Spurs.
So that means the winner of today is Mr. Brian Daigle. Daigle finishes top on Icons twice, seeing as the person that actually did finish top is not even worth mentioning. So, Mr. Brian Daigle,
well
exactly.
Done, Brian.
We're going to just remove that off the top of the screen. There you go. Brian Daigle is top.
Fantastic.
Big up to you, Daigle.
Brian.
Big up to you.
Done very well.
So that is it from us today. I want to wish everyone to have a good weekend. If you're fasting over the weekend, I wish you well over the fast. Tom81 says member for 23 months. Big up, everyone. Have a fantastic weekend. Good luck if you're fasting. Come on, you Spurs. And that is us over and out for the weekend, guys. We'll see you back. We'll see you on Monday. So thank you, everyone, for joining us today. Like, subscribe, and comment. Members chat from Ben Kaufman saying bingo. And as always, come on, you Spurs.